Let's go! Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. He's the coach, Philip Roybal. And welcome our guest into the show, David Neal from David Talks Buffs.
David,
if you love college football,
up,
you're
y'all?
definitely in the right place because we are going to talk about it. There's plenty to talk about tonight. Make sure you smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. What's up, David? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, man. Feeling good after, getting into the win column, after the last few weeks. So it feels great. How about yourself?
Well, myself is feeling really good. But I'm a little leery about what we're about to hear from the coach here, who is stinging a little bit from those Notre Dame not so fighting Irish over the weekend. Coach,
so is that why y'all have me in the middle? Is that why you have me in the middle of the picture here? Is two wins on the outside and the losers on the inside, right?
Well, I didn't call you guys losers, but
I did.
There's something going on over there to, obviously with these Irish, and I know that you're not going to be any shortage of talk about it there. So talk to us. I mean, look, I think that it was just before I let you go, I would say that this has been a tough stretch. The last 3 games, you had started off with Ohio State. Should have probably won that. And then you should have probably then you did win against Duke, but it was in odd fashion. And then of course, this week is 3 in a row, and then a couple of them being on the road. That's pretty tough sledding. Probably should have won that first one, you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm not big on getting on coaches because I've lived that life and I know how tough it is. I'm obviously not there to watch practices and see what's going on. But I tell you what, I'm going to go back all the way to the Ohio State game. We could have played a damn dead body at defensive tackle and got the stop because he barely got in to start with. And so that's a huge coaching error. And that goes all the way to the top, to the head coach. If you don't have somebody counting bodies after a timeout and even a play after the timeout, 2 plays, and then you don't run somebody on the field, I don't give a shit if you get a penalty or not. What are they going to move you 6 inches? And so that's a coaching error all the way, guys. And I think we saw the same thing in the Duke game. And I think it continued through this week. I mean, 4th and 11 on your own side of the field with 10 minutes left in the game, and you're going to go for it? Come on, man, pull your head out of your ass. This isn't, we're not playing flag football like I'm coaching with my little grandson. This is the big leagues, and you're going to call something like that. I just don't get it. I mean, right. And we're offensive line, we're not playing real well from guard to guard. They're killing us in there. Hartman got sacked 5 times in the game. And if you'll look, most of that pressure was initiated between the guards and center. And so again, Hartman is a great quarterback, guys. I truly believe that. But we're not helping him be a great quarterback. And it starts with our OC. I mean, let's be honest. We talked about this early on this year. We settled for his ass. We settled for his ass instead of going out and getting the guy that could have got the job done. I mean, his resume told us he would have got the job done. But no, in Notre Dame fashion, we go out and we hire a bum that was at West Virginia.
He was a bum at West Virginia.
Couldn't wipe his ass at West Virginia, and they think he's gonna do something the University of Notre Dame. Well, he is doing something. He's
Coach,
sucking ass.
It's so unimaginative, Coach. It's so imaginative over there. I've seen it. I mean, you saw it in the Ohio State game. They just, third down, fourth down, it was so predictable. A grade schooler would have figured it out. And you saw the same thing again. Look, Jeff Brohm is one of the best coaches, young coaches in the country.
I agree.
Alma mater. I think that he's got Louisville playing very, very well. But come on, there's been just you're right. I mean, they could have had the offensive coordinator out of Utah. The guy was, ready to go. They had him up on the screen at the basketball game during the offseason.
Yeah.
And over $1 million freaking dollars, they decided not to do it. And this will be a good question. To me, I wouldn't be worried about it because they're soft as baby shit at USC, and they're coming to your house. You would hope that you wouldn't have
I'm freaking worried about it. I'm freaking worried about it. When you got a guy calling plays the way we're calling plays, shit, I don't care if I thought Notre Dame ought to run through USC like shit through a goose, but that's obviously not happening. I mean, it is.
Isms are flying tonight.
It's friggin' pathetic, and so again, we're definitely out of the national picture. Unlike the OU Sooners, which have put themselves in the thick of it. The Colorado Buffaloes have put themselves in a position to be in the bowl games, which is incredible. Which, by the way, all the OU Sooner fans would be proud of me because, like I said, I was at my 45-year high school reunion. And obviously, it was in Perryton, Texas. You can imagine how many UT fans were in there. And I was in there yelling for OU, so I pissed everybody off. But I obviously got that shit back in the Notre Dame game. So, but yes, I threw them down, baby. First time, just so y'all know this, first time in my life I have ever cheered for OU. So.
Nice.
But anyway, hell, at least I cheered for one damn winner because mine sucked.
Well, I tell you, I know that you're a little worried about it. I'm going to tell you that after what I saw as what you're seeing in here, USC could not stop Arizona with a backup quarterback. Look, on top of that, we saw a lot. I mean, I watched a lot of that game, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they're just going to try to throw. They got that first down right towards the end of the game with the running back with Marshawn Lloyd, and then he doesn't go back to him at all. They end up freaking having to just kick and freaking settle for a tie. You can win the game right there.
Yeah.
You could have won the game right there, and it's amazing to me that it's not even just about the way that they do. I mean, here's the thing about SUC. I won't never call him USC. SUC. This guy is not. You can blame it on Alex Grinch, but we talked about this a lot. I think that Alex Grinch is a high-paid bullet catcher.
Yeah,
he's catching all the strays. He's catching all the.
Hell, he'll probably be our next Notre Dame defense coordinator.
Guys, we are definitely going to get into OU, I promise. But I got to talk a little bit about with my guests here. We've got David from David Talks Buffs. Look, you saw the week that they played, and look, come on, man. The only thing that Colorado can ever do or could have ever done against USC was play offense because of that defense being what it is. Defensively and in the trenches, there's no way without Travis Hunter, without Shiloh Sanders in the backfield, you shouldn't have been able to keep up with them.
Yeah.
Right? In the end, they not only did they come back from 41-14, had there been just a little bit of urgency on those last couple of drives, it seemed like they might have won the damn thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
With USC, it's interesting, man, because I feel like, they've had their spurts where they've been killer, but, they've a lot of these teams that have been in striking distance, and they've played teams that have beat themselves. That's just how I feel about it. Now, Notre Dame's going to be interesting, man, because we'll
I
see if
think
that
they're going to
offense
get
can
their
get
ass
old.
kicked. They're going to get their ass kicked. They're physical, and USC is not.
It helps. It helps that it's also being played. Is it being played in South Bend? Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I think, man, if they can do a better job this week of not turning the ball over, I think they're going to be right there. You've seen, man, with this with the USC team, like they are terrible at finishing the games, and they are terrible at like these crunch time decisions.
They're hanging on by a freaking thread.
That ought to make it a hell of a game.
And the difference is that Notre Dame needs to stay aggressive in these moments because, for instance, Arizona was in total striking distance with an overtime. You're already the underdog, man. Just go for 2 there. Go at the end of the first overtime.
Absolutely.
There's no reason to try and shoot out with that USC offense. And, it comes back to bite them. But if Notre Dame can play disciplined football, they should be right there. But again, coming off, how many turnovers they have last week? 6.
Yeah, God.
It was 3 interceptions and then the fumbles and I mean,
good grief. Yeah, I've forgotten it was that many, but
you can't do that.
Awful. But I mean, you're gonna have to. But that's the one thing is that you can obviously cannot turn the ball over, and look, I don't know. You could say I felt like Louisville had a good game plan going for them. They did what they needed to do defensively. You can't just put it all on them being shitty at Notre Dame. I think Louisville has a good football team also. But that being said, they should not have stacked up against Notre Dame. We know that. Come on. The bottom line is that but USC's been playing with fire for a month. The hell, they've been playing with fire since game 1. I mean, hell, you even had,
and we knew that. We said that from day one. It's Grinch.
And look, I mean, they're going to give it up. And the reason is, I mean, even then, if you give Lloyd the ball at that point of the game, like I said, on first down or even second down, he probably walks into the end zone, the defense that they were playing for Arizona right there.
Yeah.
And they were gassed. They were freaking gassed. For that matter, so was Caleb Williams. He ended up dropping a snap that was right in his hands because he was gassed too. I mean, good grief. I'm telling you that if it wasn't for Caleb Williams, this team would have lost 2 or 3 of them already. And, it's just they haven't had anybody that was really good enough to beat them yet. Now, Colorado is on the edge of being that team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really think they are. And, of course, you heard what Coach Prime said. He said that, he wasn't happy with that performance, the other night either. They did escape. They did escape Phoenix with the win, though. You got to take a win when you can get it. That's for sure.
A W is a W, baby.
I'll never apologize, for wins, especially with how few we've had to enjoy over the years. It feels great going in there, getting that win. Of course, man, we wanted, we want to have that full complete game. We haven't gotten it yet. Special teams has been a comedy of errors, but at least we had some game-changing plays too. Mata broke his field goal record, his career record twice in that game, which was fantastic. We had a block field goal. Yeah, he's great. Just doesn't have that leg to where I feel like you can trust him like 50 plus, but I think he should be the guy kicking field goals as long as it's not a long field goal like that moving forward.
Looks like Feely's just missing them all the time, so I would. I mean, man, if you need accuracy, go with Mata, man.
Yeah, it's been so weird because we had 2 kickoffs out of bounds, this past week. Feely had a short one. Things are just a mess right now, but again, I can't be too upset because this team's 4-2. And Coach, I got to tell you, man, if we are able to turn the corner, man, here with getting this victory against Stanford, then hopefully correcting some of our issues before we get into the end of our season, which is a pretty tough schedule. Man, I would love to see a Notre Dame CU bowl matchup coming up. If we're able to handle business, that's my hope. I'd love to see it.
And I would too, but I got another one before that I'd like to play, and that would be LSU.
Now that would be a good one as well.
That's a great idea. Hey, and I tell you, that's something that I definitely wanted to bring up is this LSU team is in trouble when it comes to it. Man, it took all they had to go get Missouri the other day. Now, I know Missouri was undefeated and they've got a decent pass game or whatever it is, but look, man, there's no way that what the hell happened to this defense that was so good at LSU last year that now all of a sudden you can't stop Missouri?
I'm telling you, he will coach them down. I can promise you. And it has begun.
It has. Look, I wonder how many more losses he can afford and giving up this kind of offense around the other side. Yeah, hey folks, if you hadn't wiped your feet, I know I hadn't said it, but if you hadn't wiped your feet already, hit the like button, man. Come on now. We got 43 folks in here, and how many likes we got? Oh, buddy. Let's see. We only got 11 likes, 11 out of 43 folks. Come on now. Thank you, Stephen, for bringing that up. Help us out, folks. Help us out. Come on now. Yeah. All right. LSU or USC, both on terrible defense. Hell, I would have to probably go with SC at that point because, if you're not going to stop anybody, they've got the better quarterback. Now, what I would tell you is that by that time, SC's liable to have gotten Caleb hurt. That's all I know. Look, the dude's been running for his life, man. He ran for his life the other night again, too. I watched almost the better part of that Arizona game. And it was it's crazy, man. It's crazy to me. And then, of course, you have, and even my boy USCJ was in there on Twitter today talking about how Oklahoma's defense is the same. I don't understand it. Look, they gave up some yardage to the number 3 team in the country who has an amazing offense and running game. But you know what? They gave up two touchdowns. 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. The other touchdown that was given up was on a punt block. And between the 30s, they moved the ball. It was dominant inside the red zone when it came to Oklahoma. Dominant. As you saw up here, talking about the stopping them on 4 plays, from the 1 yard line. And hey, for all that talk last week about how they were going to dominate the trenches at Texas, they had the better quarterback. They were going to dominate the trenches. Yeah, Quinn Ewers, he set a record for the Red River, getting 19 straight completions in the game. Wow. But they were all underneath. They were all short, medium throws.
All friggin' 10 to 12 yard routes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you do that, you're gonna you can get in between the 30s, and that's the same thing they did at Cincinnati, where they went in, they moved the ball a little bit between the 30s, but once you get into that red zone, they clamped down on you, and there wasn't nothing they could do.
Mm-hmm.
Red zone guys, dominance right there.
And guys, don't take this the wrong way, because I do not want to rain on OU's parade here, okay? But I have to say this. Texas is a damn fraud, guys. Now, they have the athletes. They have the athletes, but they don't have a head coach. And we've talked about him over and over and over and over. Sark doesn't get her done, guys. And I tell you what, Venables is getting it done. I will hand it to him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. OU's defense is multitudes ahead of where they have been in the past. Again, I believe that was a difference maker in this ball game on Saturday. But I don't want the same thing to happen to OU that happened to Texas when they beat Alabama. Oh hell, we're back. We're really back.
No.
Well, no, bullshit.
You want them
You're
to be
not
confident. You want them to be confident, but you got to go out there and handle your business. And that's the one thing I'll say. Here's the deal about Oklahoma when you start looking in terms of what they've been doing. These guys they play with a lot of confidence. Coach, and this is something I meant to ask you about was, look, even when they have a mistake on the defensive side of the ball, they seem to shake it off. You know, they don't get too worried about it. They continue to go out there and play with like their hair's on fire, but they're not making a bunch of stupid mistakes in the game. They just, hey, look, the bottom line is that Texas does have a good offense, and one thing that Sark can do is draw it up to get them open, you know?
Right.
But in the end, look, they're not going to – that you could tell the physicality definitely favored Oklahoma.
Yes.
We haven't been able to say that in a long damn time.
I agree. I
really believe that they have taken on the personality of Brent Venables on this football team. They have.
I would definitely agree. Definitely agree. And, you
it's
know,
not, we got to go out here and outshoot you. And, you know, look.
Jason, talking about that point of, you know, they have something go wrong, but they come back and keep playing with that, you know, fierce competitor. You know, they're being fiercely competitive. And, but what I like is, you know, and as a coach, you talk about this. When you have something that goes wrong, you know what, guys, we'll look at it on film, but let's go to the next play. We ain't got time to worry about what just happened. We'll have to fix that later. Move on to the next play. Next play.
Well, and believe it or not, I actually have to agree with the Texas creator, Stephen from Fanatic Perspective. It was something that he had said the other day, and it was something that you have heard from you've heard it from Coach Venables, is that, look, they came in with a game plan. Their game plan was to win the first 2 minutes. They got a pick on the second play. Done. They get a score off of that. It was to win the first 2 minutes, win the last 2 minutes of each half, and try to get ahead at the, you know, starting in the third quarter. They checked every box.
Every box, yeah.
And you know what? That came down to it. And look, a lot of people can sit there and say, well, Texas played their worst game. That's all you've heard out of freaking Texas.
They played their worst game because OU kicked their ass. That's why they played their worst game.
I mean, anybody that doesn't think that they forced those turnovers is out of their damn mind. And Quinn turned it, and, you know, coming into the game, that same guy that I just, you know, had to give a little credit to, he's talking about how Quinn has passed his test this year. When is Dylan Gabriel going to pass his? Well, no turnovers. He had 285 passing yards and a touchdown, the game winner, by the way, and had 100 yards. And guess what? What was the other thing that we were saying all week? You got to win the rushing battle. Oklahoma won it.
Yeah.
Oklahoma won it. And you have supposedly the best offensive line in the country and one of the best, and guaranteed they have one of the best backs in the country. That running back is unbelievable.
Yep. They've got the talent, boys.
They do have the talent.
The talent is, I mean, they're one of the top 5 football teams talent-wise, if not top 3 talent-wise. But they still don't get her done, and that's going to continue.
Yeah, look, and that's
Jason, I got a question for you really quick. I'm just curious, man. What was going through your mind, you know, when OU got the ball back for that final drive?
Go get one. I mean, the thing is there was times that the Texas had stopped them, but to be honest with you, that into that first half, here's the thing. They could have put it out of reach in the start of the third quarter had Tawi not dropped that touchdown pass right at the end of the half, and they ended up settling for 3 instead of getting the touchdown there. Then they tack on that touchdown in the start of again. They started off that second half with the touchdown, marched right down the field. When they needed to, they marched right down the field. Anytime that Texas either threatened or went ahead, they went right back out there and did what they needed to do. So I believed, I mean, look, it's down to the last part of it, but I was hoping and praying this, no doubt about that. But when he hit when you saw him hit the first pass, that was great. I mean, and because he stepped up into that throw and threw a dart, but then that second one that he hit that was along that sideline, that's a hell of a long, and they even said that's a long throw. They're into the teeth of the wind, and you're throwing to that sideline, and he had enough zip on it that it didn't get turned into pick 6 the other way. I was like, oh, here we go. He was, and look, guys, he was 4 for 4 on the, or what? Yeah, 4 for 4 on the drive. the touchdown being the last one. And then they, of course, they had that interference call, so look, he went down there and did what he needed to do. He had key plays at key moments. Look, I've been saying this for a long time. I was sick and tired of Dylan Gabriel catching strays. Everybody needs to shut up now. You can't talk bad about Dylan Gabriel anymore. You don't get to do it.
And I agree, Jason. And I said this. I said this the whole time for the ball game. The quarterback that plays the best and the team that has the least amount of turnovers is going to win this ball game. And he played the best. Dylan played the best. And so I agree with you. Quit talking shit about him.
Yeah. Look, he did. He just got his legacy here. And I mean, I put out that little I put out that short earlier. Look, he isn't Caleb Williams. We understand that. He's not tried to be. He's gone out there and been nothing but a leader, though. I go back to last year after he came back from the injury because he didn't get to play in this game. And all you heard was, oh, well, he wouldn't have been worth 49-0. He wasn't going to keep you from getting, beat. Maybe not. But when you've got a tight end taking snaps most of the game, you're screwed. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And in the end, the whole point that I tried to make all week was, look, this isn't the same football team that you saw last year.
No.
And it's been and I think it was Stephen G or somebody up here was asking, why is the national narrative still what it is? You know what? Why? Because they're lazy. It's a bunch of lazy. It's laziness. Guys like freaking Brandon Walker, that jackass from it's guys like that because they haven't bothered to actually watch. They watch the freaking box scores. USCJ must not have watched much of that game if he thought that defense got dominated and it was the same thing as what you saw later in the day in LA. Then you weren't watching. You weren't watching. So and look, and I even like USCJ. We usually get along just fine. I would tell you, bad take, bro. Bad take, because that isn't it. That's not what this is. And guaranteed. But you know what? I hope they continue to freaking look down their nose at Oklahoma. Keep disregarding them. Keep it, because that's going to be the thing that's going to keep them from freaking taking their foot off of necks. And they do have to do that, Coach. You're right about that part. You got to make sure that here's the beauty of it. UCF comes in next week, and they've been talking shit since Dylan left UCF, and they've been saying how they were going to come in and knock the crap out of Dylan in Norman when they got their chance. They've been shitty all year. Keep talking, boys. Keep talking. Because you're coming into a tough situation, and Dylan's a lot better football player than he was when you got there. Hey, yep. T, I'm glad you're feeling better. Looks like you're gonna get to go home, man. So happy about that, T. Thank you. Love you too. That's our friend Tracy. She has been going through it, man. She had some health problems there while she was on her trip, and so glad you're feeling better and going to be able to go home. Yeah. So. Yeah, and Cal heard all these guys talking all this smack, and then you even still have them. Oh, yeah, they're going to play them again. When the hell is the last time they even got into the conference championship game? Now, I'll give you this. The Big 12 is shitty. The Big 12 is shitty. They should get back in it. If they don't get into that championship game, then they aren't worth their salt anyway.
I don't think they play Kansas this year, do they? Texas?
They already beat Kansas. They beat Kansas. It was last week. Actually,
Kansas is not that good either.
And then they got K-State, but K-State just got beat by Okie Light.
Okie Light.
And then Tech has been.
I knew I was having a shitty weekend when that happened.
The two teams that you figured were gonna freaking really, have a shot to get there, to knock one of these two teams off. You had Brett Yormark talking all that shit, and Texas Tech has been shitty. And and Tech's been a little better the last few weeks since
they beat Baylor.
True. Yeah, I mean, look, they Baylor and Houston, so I don't know what to say.
Baylor, oh my God!
This week they got to play Kansas State. One of them got to take an L there. That means one of them's going to be now a game behind in the standings there, and then plus you still got West Virginia there. West Virginia, Oklahoma gets them, but they get them at home, and that's a revenge game because you got beat by them last year.
But you know, and that's what I wanted to bring up, though, Jason. That's why I say Oklahoma needs to keep taking it a game at a time, because and you know this, and I know this goes back to the Lincoln era, but they always found a game to piss down their leg on.
Sure they did.
And if they're playing fantastic football right now, and they just need to take it a week at a time. And they're going to be fine, but they just can't have that OU piss down your leg,
no, they
like
can't.
Notre Dame did this weekend.
Look, I get it, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it can't happen because it could. Although I would tell you that this Oklahoma team, no matter whatever you want to say about their schedule and what it's looked like coming in, this is an Oklahoma program that has done what they're supposed to do from week to week. You're supposed to kick the shit out of somebody. You do. You cover the spread every week. They've done what they're supposed to do. They weren't even supposed to win against Texas, and they did. So it is what it is. I think that you got to – obviously, they're got to be guarding against, complacency there in Norman. My guess is that shouldn't probably be a problem with Coach Venables. It just doesn't seem like that's in this team. They want to beat the shit out of everybody. Welcome to the show, Mr. Eric Cooper from Unfair Sports. Welcome in, bud.
That's me.
Coop!
That's my name.
That's you. What's up, bud?
You know what? I can say this truly, and I'm getting – this is the first time for my fellow here with the University of Colorado banner in the background. So, but I now watch games with not only just watching games, but like I watched that Notre Dame game and asked Jason, Coach, I was like, hey, have you checked on Coach, seeing how he's doing? Just because
I damn near committed suicide.
I tell you, I didn't even want to call him, man. I didn't want to call him. I wanted to leave him the hell alone. So I didn't want to get chewed out.
Well, Coop, I have to tell you, I was really kind of fortunate because I was at my 45th year reunion. That'll tell you I'm an old bastard. But I got to watch the first half, but I didn't get to watch the second half because I was actually the auctioneer for our auction that we do during our reunions. So I didn't get to watch the second half, and thank God I didn't. And I still haven't watched it, and I'll never watch it. But we sucked ass.
Well, I'll tell you this. Last year, my daughter I'm the head coach for her soccer team, and we had a game during OU Texas and TCU. So I didn't have to watch either of those live, and which would have been rough on me too. So
yeah.
But anyway, I hearing what you guys are talking about, I mean, it's this team needs to keep the same mindset. And Coach, you heard me say, with the SMU game, and I believe the Cincinnati game also, you go through games where you win, but there's still coachability to be had. And that really, really helps out. So now I think this team has everything in front of them that they've had on the slate. You go through and you can, if you look at Twitter, Texas barely made it to the stadium and barely played the game and barely, they threw something out there, and OU, it was their Super Bowl. So, for a team,
that's their own damn fault if that's the case, but we know that's not the case.
Bullshit too. At what point would you ever believe that you would go in there complacent about the Red River game? If that's the case, you got to fire your coach right now.
No, that's bullshit.
I think that that was a phenomenally played game with opportunities on both sides to make big plays. Game. There was some coaching matchups, and there were things. I was just listening to Damian Mackey's podcast earlier today, and just even on that final touchdown, I mean, you could go through and just diagnose and analyze and break down the film on so many different great situations in that game. And it's beautiful. And so you got to see two teams who are fighting to, and we kind of joked last week, carry two conferences at the moment. And both of them actually put great stuff on film, and they're going to, if everything happens the way it's supposed to, they're going to meet again. And,
absolutely.
And so There are some injuries that have changed the outlook of a couple things. I think with the Andrel Anthony, and I'm going to get somebody had asked that one just a second ago. You approach this just like you approach the beginning of the season. You have a bunch of guys, you have a bunch of positions that need filling.
That's right.
And so you hold tryouts. We made the comments that this team went from one of the biggest question marks to a strength of the team, to where we thought the running backs were the biggest strength of the team, and now it's the biggest question mark. So you fire out there. You've got plenty of bodies that can go out there and do that. You see Farouk over the past 2 weeks has absolutely emerged. And so now you need somebody who demands attention with speed. And so you've got Brennan Thompson, you've got Jaquez Petaway over there on the other side. You've got the ability to feature Nick Anderson a little bit more and give Jaden Gibson some more run. So I'm not worried about it. You never want to see a wide receiver go down. You never want to see someone, who's having a breakout year do that, because that just steals joy from everybody. And so yeah, we push through. Yeah, with the old competitive depth, pinkies up, and you just definitely you run back out there. But I think that the makeup of this team is completely different. It's absolutely different than it's ever been, probably since early 2000s when they were still fighting.
That's what I was saying earlier. This team has taken on the attitude and the demeanor of Brent Venables.
Yeah.
They believe in each other. They got a lot of confidence. Look, the way I looked at it was confidence. They played with confidence, grit, violence, and without fear. They don't have fear right now, even when they make a mistake.
It is. You go through, and we did it on our Sunday show. We got to say thanks. Sam Mays came on and chopped it up with us, and he asked me to come on, and so that was terrific. And
what did he say? He said they stood up, beat their chest, and let the world know that this defense has arrived.
Yeah. So you take that goal line stand. You take that goal line stand, and you see the sacrifices that a couple different guys took and made during that goal line stand. Some guys made plays that had nothing to do with the highlight. It had everything to do with setting up the highlight. And so that's what you're seeing. And when you have this much depth. Sorry, Coach. You still have guys who want more flowers. You still have guys who want more playing time. You still have guys who have been inches away from a sack, inches away from a tackle for loss. And right now, you have leading the country in interceptions. You have guys who want that. Gentry Williams needed an IV, so he got pulled out of the game. We had a lot of people banged up. So you roll Key Lawrence out there. And I believe that the last time Key Lawrence played corner was middle of the year last year, and you had to throw him over there. So you just keep on pushing. And, you might even get a little chance to see DJ Graham at wide receiver, have him slide up the depth chart a little bit, because he's quite forgotten.
Yeah, look, and that's what I was saying too, is like usually it's a lot hotter there than like that. But if anybody was gassed at the end of the game, it looked like it was the Texas defense to me. Because after that first initial couple of minutes of the game, Sweat and those guys were no longer a factor.
It's,
on the D line for Texas. They got tired quick, and they didn't have the depth that you saw going in there for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and those guys are NFL guys, and they were getting pushed in and out. There's a lot of good players on that defense. There's a lot of good players on that offense. And I can't wait, because now I will say this. If you take Steve Sarkisian's approach to the game, he didn't think that they were a favorite. He didn't think that they were supposed to walk in there and just trounce OU. He knew what was coming, and he knew that it was going to be a chess match between him and Brent Venables the entire day. And you see that with, what's the old adage, Coach? If you know that you're the better team, you don't run rinky-dink shenanigans and fake punts and stuff like that.
You just line up and run the ball.
You line up and you go, right?
Play your game. Play your game.
You saw that running two defensive studs out there on the goal line stand was something
gimmicky.
Too. So, yeah. And, the one thing I'll disagree
that's
with.
Sark, guys. That is Sark. That's a prototypical shark. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to say this is, when you have that type of play calling, how many times have we watched somebody go down, first and goal from the 1, and then you get tricky and try to throw the ball a couple times, and everybody's just like, would you just give it to freaking Tolly Walker, give it to your running back, and just plow in through? And if you can't get it, you don't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's all over Sark's butt because he ran 3 straight dives, and then he ran that. Now, I will say that the fourth down call,
that was a hell of a tackle. That was a hell of a tackle, is all that was.
It was, but I just don't know if that's the best. That's the best play call with your 170-pound wide receiver.
Right. Well, that was the one thing I kind of wondered is why wasn't Jordan Whittington the one? And I was watching, Oklahoma breakdown there too. Is like you have the 6'5" guy that freaking outweighs him by about 60 pounds over there in the same spot. Why don't you swap those two and get? Thankfully they didn't. Thankfully they did. Or AD. I mean, yeah, why not?
There's a couple other options now. That saying Worthy is potential All-American, and so you put it in your playmakers' hands, and you want them. There was just playmakers on the other side of the ball too.
That's right.
Well,
that's right.
And I believe, guys, and I know there'll be people disagree with me, whether it was 3rd down or 4th down. I think you've got to get Ewers involved in the possibility of scoring. And I think you're going to fake the ball inside on the dive or the zone, whatever you're going to be running inside, and then you bootleg him out, and you got a chance to throw it for a touchdown, or you got a chance to let Ewers run it in for a touchdown. And because it was very evident. You knew, I knew, they weren't going to run it up between the tackles. It wasn't going to happen. And again, I know what you're saying, Coop, about, hell, you got to, if people get pissed off when people start throwing the ball down there when you're on the 1 yard line and you don't bang it in. But if you know you're not going to bang it in, I mean, it's pretty evident, then do something different. And I think they should have let Ewers have the opportunity to run it in or throw it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to have to let David get out of here. So we're going to talk to him just for a second. But hey, David, we appreciate you coming in. And obviously you got a big one. You got Travis Hunter coming back, right? So that's a big addition back to the team. So
they still going to play him on both sides of the ball?
Oh yeah. He'll be there. If he's practicing, he's going to be playing. So he's a huge get back for both teams. So or for both sides of the ball. So we got to handle business here against Stanford. And then, we can find a bunch of bodies to get in here for the offensive line during the bye week or something. We gotta, fix this protection issue somehow. So that's my hope. And then, that only means one more victory to get bowl eligible. And that is huge for us right now. So thank you for having me on.
Hey man, we appreciate you coming on, bud. We appreciate you coming on, and we'll get with you later on in the week to kind of preview that a little bit out. So
let's do it.
Let me know whenever you're going to go live again too, and I'll jump on there with you and we'll check it out.
All right, that sounds great, Jason. Thank you.
A lot more fun covering this team than the past couple of years, eh?
Oh man, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Night and day, right?
Coach, have a good one.
Later, brother. Keep up the good work.
Everybody, bye-bye. David Neal from David Talks Buffs. You can find him everywhere on David Talks Buffs. It's all
right.
It's pretty much everywhere, whether it's Twitter, here on YouTube. Make sure you go check him out and subscribe to his channel as well. Hey, we appreciate
David, before you leave, I actually heard that you have a MySpace channel that it's David Talks in the Buff. And is that still operational?
Man, you'll just you guys should go pull it up here on the screen share for yourself. See if it's right there.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right.
Man, appreciate you.
Later, man. Have a good one.
It'd be better to watch that than USC's defense.
Yeah, listen, Bumbo'd in here talking.
Or Notre Dame's offense.
Bumbo, come on, man. You guys almost lost to freaking a basketball school yourself at home. What are you even talking about? And it wasn't an undefeated basketball school either. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about. So come on, man. And this is you guys are coping with the fact that you can't stop a freaking runny nose. Come on.
Hey, listen,
we know these guys. We know these guys.
They are where we were for the past 5-6 years, and you just gotta keep moving forward, and just hope to God that something worthwhile happens, and USC's gauntlet is here, so we'll see what happens over the next 5 weeks, and I mean,
it's here. See, that's the whole point, is that they do have whatever happens this weekend, you've got Utah, which you hadn't beat them yet, and I know Cam's not around, but they're going to play defense on you. Then you still they still got to deal with Oregon, Washington. You guys are toast.
Yeah. And guys, I can tell you about that kind of schedule in front of you, because we've just played through that kind of schedule, and it does. And I'm not making excuses, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to make an excuse for us. But what I'm saying is, it's tough when you hit a schedule that difficult, and you got to play. I mean, quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter of playing good football, and if you have a lapse, you get your ass kicked, as we well saw against Louisville.
Yeah, you got that 100% right, and the mentality of it now as the fans. I mean, you got to run out there. Yeah, you got to run it out there, because the team's going to have the same thought process. Is you run out there against any team worthwhile, and you just know that Caleb Williams has to play his absolute best game. Otherwise, you don't stand a chance. Now,
and the other thing that I've seen is that they're not even – Lincoln's not even calling an offense that's keeping him upright either, because right down towards the end of the game, they could have won that thing in regulation. They just needed to give the ball to Lloyd again. He got him that first down with the guy's a beast, and he had a 15-yard run, gets him inside inside the 10. They didn't even go back to him and pulled him out of the damn game. And Caleb's so tired that he's fumbling snaps and shit. It was a weird deal.
Like at all. Doesn't sound like Lincoln Riley at all.
Right? Yeah, we hadn't seen him at all. And look, Big Bumba, we watched this before, man. It's not just being haters in here. That's not what this is, even though we do hate him.
We've had 6 years of experience.
We actually have seen this. We've seen this movie before. And look, a lot of the folks out there are starting to see the same thing. And up until today, USCJ was you starting to see that he was starting to get on board, but then he kind of went on the attack about Oklahoma earlier today. Look, in the end, we don't have to worry about it. We're going to wait and see how this plays out, but I can't imagine you getting through that gauntlet of this last half of a schedule, 5-6 games, without at least losing 2 to 3 of them. And I've been saying 4 all year, so that's just where I'm at on it.
And then you also have the Friday night Pac-12 championship game. If you get there, you got to go a second time against one of them. And we saw that last year with Utah. Was it 2 of 3? Was it back-to-back weeks or 2 of 3 weeks? But Utah, if Cam Rising, he's got till the 21st to get healthy. And I still say that he is a gamer, and if he can play, he's going to. But he's not going to play. I mean, they're not going to run Rising out there if it's a risk to the rest of the season or to his future. And so, and then you've got Washington and Oregon, and that's number 7, number 8. They're in the top 5 in every offensive category possible. It's just going to be tough. And Notre Dame, we talked about at the beginning of the year, Coach. We looked at the schedule and we said right about now is where you need to start. And we didn't know what Duke was going to be. We didn't know what Louisville was going to be. And I'll tell you whatever Ethan Downs had for OU, I think the entire Louisville defense had the same thing for breakfast that morning, because I've never seen a Louisville team on defense look anything close to that. No,
they played incredible. I got to hand it to them.
I'm not sure that, Steve, I'm not sure about that, because they've won all but one game this year, and they haven't had Rising yet. They still are. They're as big. If you heard anything that Witt was saying coming into the season, the entirety of his team, he said this is the best team that he's ever had at every position. team wide. He wasn't just talking about
Right.
having Cam Rising. Now, Cam Rising hurts you not having him, and you're not going to stop him forever. You're not going to stop Caleb forever. But I would tell you that I think that these guys are still going to they're going to struggle there, and all they got to do is stay close. All they got to do is stay close. You know, but
as long as there's
end,
time, as long as there's time to score, there's the opportunity is always going to be there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, listen, and in the end, you know, look, I you know, you almost feel bad for Caleb Williams for everything that he's having to. I mean, he's literally saving this team week after week after week. You know, and it's sad that that's what he's going through, but it is what it is. He probably should have stayed at OU, but it is what it. I mean, look, I understood why he left. He went there to get coached by Lincoln Riley, which is understandable. He's won his Heisman. He's going to be number one in the draft. You can't say he made a bad decision there because he's going to go number one.
Things will be better Things will be better this week though when he paints his fingernails. That'll help him.
Well, it's
yeah.
You know, listen,
and I'm look, and that's what I've said this already. I don't want to. We're not. Believe me, I've been trying to say it for freaking the better part of 2 seasons now, or a season and a half. Is no more freaking taking shots at Dylan Gabriel in here. I don't like it. I haven't liked it ever. This idea that he ain't the guy. He stood up and showed that he could go out there and win when you had to. You know, look, no timeouts, 1 minute, 70 seconds left, and no timeouts, and he didn't blink. He didn't blink. He didn't turn over the football. You know, he had over 300 total yards himself. I mean, against a Texas defense that's supposedly as good as that one is, pretty damn good day. Pretty damn good day.
Yep.
Yeah, bud. So anyway, all right. Let's see. Wanted to get into a couple of these. let me jump on here real quick and see where we're at on this. Hey, let's talk a little bit about this. The rest of the Big 12. We're done with the Bumble. We don't know shit about USC here. So we're you know, if you want to keep talking about that, then we're gonna, you know, you probably want to.
And I hope you Lou Holtz is at the game too, so he can partake in the ass whipping they gave him in '88 and beat him 27-10. So I hope he's there too.
There you go. And there it is. All right. There ain't no bush push going on this week. But let's see. Here's the question, you know, kind of piggybacking off of this whole deal with the Red River. What is going to happen when it comes to the Big 12? Is there any hope whatsoever? Coop, I'm going to ask you this first. Is there any hope for the Big 12 to keep there from being a Texas OU rematch in the Big 12 championship game at this point?
I'll take this one for Chris. No, there's not. You know, I will say this as the Big 12's, you know, number one contender to prevent that is West Virginia right now. Yeah, you're laying your hopes on a guy who, you know, with all intel says that if he lost to Oklahoma last year, he wouldn't have been the coach that week. West Virginia is playing some big boy football. They've got 2 NFL guys on the offensive line. You gotta watch. You know, if you go in and watch West Virginia, they literally just keep on the field and just hold the ball and do what they want on it. You know, this is a team rallying around, I think, the university, rallying around the coach, rallying around everything. And everybody tossed, you know, give it up to our boy Coos because, you know, when he was in here dropping his preseason predictions, I don't know how much of it was faith, love, and hope, but he was pretty staunch on their season. I mean, right now, don't look though, is Iowa State is playing good football. Iowa State's playing really good football right now.
They just beat up on TCU.
Yeah, that new quarterback is playing with good decision making, and he's doing it right. But you've got you know, OU at the top, West Virginia, Texas, Kansas, Iowa State, and I think that's where the, you know, contenders probably stay. You know, I think that at the beginning of the year we had OU, Texas, and Kansas. as the top three. But yeah, I mean, it's a foregone conclusion now that teams like Baylor, probably Kansas State are probably out of it. I just don't know. I don't know what's going on at K-State. They lost a lot, and nobody wanted to talk about everything they lost. Just like TCU, K-State had just one of those seasons last year too, to where they were getting everything that they needed at the right time. And so, I mean, I don't see anybody else doing it. Kansas still has something to say. West Virginia still has something to say. And I think that Iowa State continue. I mean, they've got everything in front of them. They just go out there and continue to win. They get Texas here soon. That's an opportunity. You look at complimentary football. Texas and OU are playing complimentary football. West Virginia is playing a shade of it too. Kansas, they can't stop anybody. I mean, it's just they're not great on defense. Iowa State is putting a complimentary offense out there with that defense that they're traditionally going to have. And but I mean, if you just look at it, I mean, you kind of have to say there's a lot of hope, for that. I don't think that these teams really care one way or the other. I think most of them are probably in a good riddance mindset, and let's just get this season over with and everything. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at on it.
I have seen them definitely around YouTube too. You've got that. John Kurtz has a pretty popular channel, and they have bitched and complained about the fact that they're playing so poorly, and that what are their chances of keeping Oklahoma and Texas out of the championship round. I would tell you that it's going to be
slim and none,
I think too. But yeah, I want West Virginia and Kansas to be ranked when we play them. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I think West Virginia wins again this week. They'll be in the rankings.
They should be. Yeah, and who they have this week? Is it who do they have this week?
I can tell you right now,
because they were off this past week. Let's see.
They have Houston. They have Houston this week. That game is Thursday night. So you got the Houston FS1 game, and then Oklahoma State next week. So I think that there's that. Then they go to UCF and then BYU at home. So you got to look at that. West Virginia can come in. That's 7-1. That's 8-1. They could roll in Norman 8-1. And I promise you, there is a. If you think that there's a slip up coming there, OU is on. They don't have much of the revenge tour from last year, but West Virginia is on it.
They are indeed. And so, to get that loss out of the way, and then you don't get to, because you don't get to mess with Tech or Baylor or Kansas State for that matter, unless you get them in the championship game. But after the way that they played, how do you justify this? And that was where I was going with it, is all this crap that everybody's been talking from the Big 12 about good riddance, get out of here. What do you really think is going to happen when these two teams are gone? They better be glad that Coach Prime and them are coming into the Big 12, because if not, this thing could come back real freaking quick.
But I'm going to tell you guys, those two, Texas and OU, leaving to the SEC, and I'm not trying to be talking bad about the Big 12, but at the end of the day, the Big 12 is not very good without those two teams. I mean,
no, it isn't.
Let's just call an ace an ace, a spade a spade.
It is.
They're not very good.
That's what I was getting at. They've been shitty. They've been really shitty. And even, what did Tim say when he was in here? Stinky. They've been bad. Yeah. And look, K-State is supposed to be carrying the torch this year, and I didn't know how long that was going to last. But your two losses on the season are at Missouri and Okie Light. Are you shitting me? I mean,
this Okie Light team, not just Okie Light, but this Okie Light team.
It's not like we're talking about 2 years ago Okie Light. We're talking about this Okie Light. Last year they beat the brakes off them. They had them 48-0, I think it was.
Yeah.
Good grief. And they're worse than they were last year. Worse.
Yeah. It's
unbelievable.
I mean, when we were talking about it and you guys all gave your takes, and then I dropped the bomb, everybody was excited about it. It's the Bless Your Heart conference. You need You need Colorado to take a step forward. You need Utah to come in and bring some clout. You need BYU to take a run. You need Baylor to get back to something that is respectable. You need Texas Tech to show up with a game that complements the preseason hype. There's a lot of teams. UCF believes that they can come in and win that conference next year. TCU, what did they look like? Because again, that magic is gone, and now TCU is on the struggle bus.
Yeah, it's not even close. Yeah, see, I don't know that I believe this at all. I can tell you this: he had that at Ohio State. They kicked his ass out of there quickly.
No, that thing worked up in Washington State because the spread offense
places like ECU.
Yeah. The spread offense was the way to get the ball out. I mean, the spread offense was essentially the what would you call it? The wishbone of the 2000s. It was, how do you just get the ball out, get the ball fast? You don't have the hosses up front, and that's, I mean, that's the same thing with the speed D. Is you got to run around, but when it comes time, when it's time for brass tacks and for somebody to line up, it's not going to take it. Ohio State, like I said, like you just said, Jason, I mean, Grinch was run out of town, and we were pretty excited to get him over Golding from Alabama. And it doesn't look like, I mean, it looks like either one would have been a bad deal, but we've got, you've got Grinch is probably not going to have a job next year. I got to think that he's probably going to have to cycle somewhere else, going as an analyst, maybe go in the Nick Saban rehabilitation program and go as a. But I mean, if Mike Stoops can do it, I got to think that Nick would bring in Grinch. But maybe Grinch goes back over to an Oregon State or a Washington State or something like that, because I mean that's what's going to have to happen.
Well, my feeling is that in the end, this is. The best thing that happened to Oklahoma was for Lincoln Riley to bounce. I know it pissed everybody off the way he left, and honestly, it was shitty the way he left, for him to be recruiting Oklahoma players to SC while on Oklahoma's dime still. And it wasn't just one. I don't care what anybody says. It wasn't just one. But look, there's no way that they would be in a position to be able to make the playoff this year even. And certainly once you get into the SEC, they would have been in deep shit. A lot of that stuff that they were talking about, that you hear dumbasses from the SEC, from the crap teams of the SEC, saying that they're going to be middle of the road at best when they get there, which is silly shit. But that may be true if Lincoln Riley was still the head coach, because they were never going to be able to. He was right. He said that he couldn't recruit elite defensive players to Norman. He was right. He couldn't. BV can. Yeah, he couldn't. He can't. Yeah. He can't recruit him to SC either. Mecca can't recruit him there either.
Yeah. Well,
so
and Coop, speaking to what you just said, Grinch is going to be gone next year, but so is Riley, guys.
I think you have
Riley's gone on his own.
Riley was gone too, but the reason
he's not going anywhere in college football. He's going to the NFL.
He's taken up for him because he is catching all the strays for his ass.
Yeah, it's like I fully expect Caleb Williams to go number one. I don't see how that changes. I mean, outside of him having something catastrophic, which I don't want to see, because again, Lincoln Riley, he is who he is. Caleb Williams went across the whole damn country in the middle of COVID to orchestrate all that stuff. He knew what was going on, and he wanted Lincoln Riley, and he came and he ran that. Now, I don't know. I mean, if you do the whole truth serum with Lincoln Riley, what is he thinking nowadays? Because I mean, his life is pretty good. He's on Wendy's commercials and everything like that. But
he's been exposed for what he is, though, now at this point, right? I mean, I think every week it gets worse and worse.
Yeah, you're going to see. I mean, I say if there's a couple losses, Caleb Williams is going to have an ankle that just won't get healthy, and he might sit out. And that might be the I mean, listen, and nobody's going to blame him, but as long as they have something to play for, he's going to stay in there.
Right. I agree, Coop. And to be quite honest, guys, I just don't see them. I see them winning or losing another 2 or 3 ball games down this.
Yeah, listen,
gauntlet.
I think so too. I think they get beat this weekend, and I think that they're going to lose at least 2 more. At least 2 more.
You know, I had to chuckle today when I looked to see who was favored in the game. I actually looked to see how much USC would be favored by.
Yeah.
And I saw Notre Dame was favored.
Yeah,
I had to chuckle.
There's
and
the
laugh
reason
at
for
that.
it. Look,
Wow.
hey, look, and you can say, and not that Vegas always has it right, but they generally can see, they can see matchups and they put it in, and they're not usually wrong. They're not usually wrong. And really, what is it? It was a 3.5 or something. So it's basically a
2.5, I think 2.5 or 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah. So that means that you get that 3 points baked in with being at home. So that means it's more or less a pick 'em. But that's them saying that one has a defense and one has an offense. One's got to give.
Right.
Yeah. And so you're talking about, you know, I said it early in the year. I think that Arizona was going to tank. They're gonna go after Lincoln Riley. If you look at the bottom of the NFL standings right now, you got Carolina. They're not going to do any coaching change, and they're definitely not going to do a quarterback.
No.
Here's where, as a Denver Broncos fan, we are sitting there perfectly fine. So how would you like to have Sean Payton and Caleb Williams? You know, I would be ecstatic. But then right behind them is Arizona Cardinals, the New England Patriots. They could do a complete rehaul. The Giants, I don't think that they're going to. I mean, they can't because they just gave Daniel Jones a ton of money. But then here's another one: is Minnesota Vikings
quarterback in Dallas?
Yeah. Well, Minnesota Vikings right now are 1-4. Let's see, Justin Jefferson's going to be out for at least the next 4 weeks. Kirk Cousins has been on the Mike Gundy, you know, recurring contract situation for forever. So that might be, but I mean, if you go past that, I mean, it's not until like you get up to Raiders and maybe Jets. So, you know, that's going to be a deal. Is Lincoln Riley going to go try to take an NFL job, or does he start back over with Malachi Nelson, who he's not giving any snaps to because they can't?
Yeah. And Bumble, you don't think that Notre Dame can do that on them? They haven't stopped the run yet this year, and they can throw it. They've got some guys that can. You haven't stopped anyone. Notre Dame has a much better offense than what you got a defense. So,
and Elko, I'm
Notre
going
Dame defense is really good, by the way. Yeah.
Elko brought up a question. He says it's safe to say that there's some fraud in this, just awareness of the coaches. You see it all over the place. You see a lot of guys who, you know, pack up shop. They know what's behind. I mean, until Lincoln Riley left.
Why did he leave Oklahoma, you think? Because he knew he was about to get exposed there. He was already getting there.
He did. He was going to have to rely on some. We had some really, really big guys on defense about to commit before Lincoln Riley took off. But it wasn't going to be enough to save anything. And I promise you, Lincoln Riley got a little butthurt. He was upset about that SEC move. He wasn't part of the conversation. So he packed up shop and he went somewhere where he thought he could do whatever he wanted. Well, then what happens? The moment he shows up there, hey, we're heading to the Big Ten. He wants nothing to do with the Big Ten. Nothing to do with it.
It's going to be worse for him. I think it's worse for them than the SEC would have been for him, because of the fact that, look, you may have been able to get some, like you said, some defensive guys once you got there. You needed to get a new coordinator, no doubt about that. But the thing is that speed into the cold isn't going to really translate the same way. And that going out there, and there's a reason why they all play that line up and freaking run over your ass shit in the Big Ten, because it's cold, and it doesn't work the same way. And I think that you're going to start seeing that. I think you're going to start seeing that with Wisconsin a little bit too. And you notice the last few years with Ryan Day's point-a-minute offense, it hadn't done much for them. I mean, they've played crappy teams in the Big Ten, and so they'll win there. But you go up against somebody that's big and strong, and they get beat. Michigan, I think that Penn State probably beats them this year, but I know that Michigan's going to again. You know, or I just feel like that just because, I mean, they boogered them up twice in a row now, and they get them back in the big house again too.
I just want to point out that I had Penn State, I think in in the upper echelon at the beginning of the year, and everybody kind of giggled at me, and they're sitting there right now.
I think they are. I still want to see them actually win one of these games that matters, but the Michigan or Ohio State game. But I think that they really don't have any excuses anymore because they recruit well.
They do. And James Franklin, I think that he is what he's getting paid? Is he worth what he's getting paid? I don't think so. But I mean, right now it's better that you have somebody that has shown some success than, pulling over somebody and it not going well, because I mean, that's an option too. And so, but I think that we started talking about the Big 12 next year and Big 12 this year and who has an opportunity. I mean, this is a conference with two teams playing, and it's typically OU and somebody else. And this year, Texas is doing their side of the bet. We all thought that if they went out there and beat Alabama, would it be worse than if they lost to Alabama? I don't know. The fandom the delusion is in full effect with the fans.
Sure.
I'm going to be done, I think, professionally, really taking shots at Sark. I think I gained a lot of respect for Sark this week. And, I think that
he called a better game than he's getting credit for right now. I think I think it was kind of gutless what he did towards the end. Why don't you try to go ahead and get that first down instead of running it on third?
There's a lot of that, because I mean,
he would have made it. He would have made it from 10 more yards. It wouldn't have mattered if he didn't have to change that. I mean, that was the one thing that I would have said. But honestly, and then the fact that, look, down by the goal line, the fact that you needed to put those defensive tackles in there, or you thought you did, but that was a hell of it. But you can't take that away from the fact that Oklahoma stepped in there and freaking got a backbone right there and said, no, you're not coming in.
Yeah. We talked about it, when Ashton Sanders committed, and he had himself standing on the goal line, and he says, this is the goal line. If it's between me and you will not make it into the end zone. And that's the type of mentality that's being recruited to Norman, and that's what the coaching is doing. And it is a team first, an absolute team first mentality that is going on right now. So it's fun. This is really, really fun to see complimentary football. And they made plays early. Quinn Ewers did not drop back. He didn't drop back. He ran a lot of RPO stuff, and they didn't trust their offensive line, which was, potentially one of the best in the country. They didn't trust that offensive line to hold up under the OU pass rush. And I said that out loud just now. I just said that out loud. The OU pass rush was worrying Texas. And you see that toughness. And so again, if it is OU,
that's exactly what it was. He was worried that he was going to have to take a sack there, and then they would have been out of field goal range, right? So he ran the ball.
And also they had pretty much stymied OU's offense had been shut down pretty well up to that point, the past couple drives. The fourth down, everybody freaks out about that fourth down. That's Gabriel's worst play of the game, the fourth down to Stoops, because that's a play that they've completed 35 times this year. That little out route, that option route, Stoops was open. He had the first down, and if it's a decent throw, he catches it, and it's completely. I think the game's different. But
if Tyreek catches that ball down by the goal line at the end of the first half, it's a different ball game too when they come out and score in the third quarter, right? Yeah. Look, it was a great game, and I'm not taking anything away from Texas. Even I think that Texas played very well. I think that they showed me they're a lot better than what I thought. What I did expect coming in though was that the Oklahoma was going to be the one that had the toughness and that was going to come out and be the most physical of the teams, because they just wanted it more. And when you start hearing the stories about them doing, everything is 49 reps and everything else throughout the whole year with Schmitty, they've had to choke on 49-0 for a year. And a lot of these guys weren't even here, and they've been choking on that damn 49-0 for a year. There was motivation beyond, and Coach, you'll see, this sometimes just getting that right motivation, hitting that right button we'll do it for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, remind me, guys, just because my memory is not very good anymore. That shit happens to you when you get old. But what are the signature loss or wins that Texas has this season?
It's got to be. I mean, it's Alabama. Alabama's it. I mean, you still have to go down there and play Alabama at their house. Nobody was picking them with any intelligence. Everybody thought maybe. And I said it before. I said, don't be surprised if Texas goes in there and wins. then I saw Jalen Milroe look decent in game one. And I thought, well, never mind. And then he hasn't looked good since. But outside of that, it's a bunch of backup quarterbacks and Wyoming.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still don't think that. I still don't think they have a great football team, guys. That's just my personal opinion.
Look, I think that they're as talented as it gets. There's no. I think that they're as talented.
I don't disagree with that.
Right, I think that they played a pretty good game. But I also think that they got pushed around and got what somebody said up here that Toby Rowland had said. They punched Bevo in the eye. They went out there and punched him in the eye, and when you do that, you're gonna find out what kind of guy, what kind of team is this? Are you tough or are you not tough, right? And I think that it's Oklahoma established very early on that they were the tougher of the two teams, and I also think that the chess match. Now there was a hell of a chess match going on though between the and I also thought the one thing that I did like that Sark did was once it got to that point, like after they threw that first interception, and then they go down there and they almost scored, but he had to go for it on fourth down off that, he fake punt. I mean, he was definitely trying to get the momentum back immediately. And a lot of times you would have seen him lay down on that. I feel like. I definitely think this is a better version of Sark. And you know me, I'm not a Sark apologist at all.
Oh yeah. And listen, Texas could have laid down. They could have quit. They could have stopped. And I think that one moment where they got the block punt, that saved, I think that turned the game back into a game, because I think that if OU kicks that off, stops them, and then scores, then maybe that game looks like one of the beatdowns or the blowouts that we've seen in the past. So Texas did go out there. Now, I would say this, it's, they still have some punks on their defense that, I believe the safety who jumped up like a little kid when he, was covering Stogner, and Anderson caught the touchdown. He also, full on double hand shoved one of OU's analysts into the bench. They've still got some punks on that team, and we'll see. They trotted out Jatavian Sanders. I think him playing probably hurt that team. I think that they wanted him to be a decoy, but when Billy Bowman goes up and pops him, and that ball pops up in the air, that whole sideline on the Texas side was all of a sudden knew something was different, because that was a great football play, because that he doesn't hit him like that, or if he tries to do one of the Alex Grinch types of tackles or something like that, that's a touchdown, and the game's different. The game's completely different. So, but yeah, I mean, we've talked about this game ad nauseum, and it was a great team and a great game, and we probably see this again. Now, does the bye week, what does Texas do? Because I think they've got Houston, so I don't think that they are going to be looking like anything, awesome when they come back. But again, if they come out and they toy around with Houston, and it starts getting, a game to where it goes into the second or third quarter where Houston's hanging around, then all of a sudden we start looking at Texas and go, all right, guys, who are you guys? Who are you right now? Because you can't let 1 week, affect you week after week.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Don't lose that game in the future too.
Yeah.
I still think there's there's at least 3 people on the schedule that can beat Texas, and
yeah, and I don't know that Tech is one of them though. I'm not on the road.
I do.
Black Friday.
I do.
It's an off week, off schedule situation, so that they're going to be playing on Black Friday, and Tech always has something for them. This will be
I
Tech's
agree.
Super Bowl. So they
Yeah.
will be throwing absolutely everything. And you saw it from Tulsa after the second quarterback came in against OU.
I believe it when
It's
I see
hard
it,
to
man.
play a team. It's hard to
I
play a
believe
team that has absolutely nothing to lose, and they don't care if they lose. It's
Absolutely.
hard to play that team.
There is that. There is that.
And I guarantee you, Texas Tech always has a game there that they play that spoiler every year, and Texas could very well be that one. And again, they still got to beat Iowa State too. I'm not sure they can accomplish that one either.
Look, and everybody's been talking about Iowa State, but Iowa State's quietly turned it around, and it may have been the best thing that ever happened to them getting that freaking quarterback out of there. Shit.
Yeah.
They may be better off because I think that Rocco definitely looked better to me than what we saw out of what's his name from last year.
Yeah. Texas has Kansas State on the 4th. The week we have Bedlam.
They do.
And that's at home. Then they go to TCU at Iowa State, and then Texas Tech at home on Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I chuckle and laugh, and TCU's not very good, but I'm telling you, they're another one that could upset them.
Yeah, they could because look, I think they've won what I want to say they've won like 4 out of the last 5 or some crap like that against Texas.
Yep. I'm telling you, there's some upset alerts for Texas down the road.
But TCU's bad though. They have not looked good.
But it goes back to what we were saying. They have nothing to lose at this point. When they play them, they can go 4 downs on every damn series.
Look, just because Oklahoma won this game doesn't mean that they're getting there. But if I'm going to believe in one team or the other, it would be OU because of the fact that, look, Texas has to show they can do it. It's been since 2019 since they've 2009 since they've even won a conference championship. It's been since 2018 since they played for one. And and every year they've been supposed to meet Oklahoma back in the conference championship, and they don't get there.
I think definitely OU's playing in the conference championship. I'm still not sure it's going to be Texas playing them.
Yeah. I'm not positive that it is either. I'm not. But I wouldn't be. I mean, talent-wise, they should. And they seem to be better than they have been, but they should be there.
But talent doesn't always win ball games, though, guys.
You're correct. I'm telling you. I'm not disagreeing.
You can have a shitload of talent, but if you can't get them to win, it's
But I'm telling you, the Big 12 is shitty right now. It is shitty.
I agree with you, Jason, but I'm just telling you, the Texas Techs of the world, the TCUs of the world, the Iowa States of the world, they, just like Coop said, they will have. Now, Iowa State may be playing for something if they keep rocking down the road here.
Virginia's been good. I'll give them that. I'll give West Virginia. They've only lost to Penn State. That's it. They've only lost to Penn State.
No, and so there, guys, that Texas still has a buzzsaw, in my opinion, ahead of them. Whether those teams are shitty or not, they're teams that traditionally have beat them when they're not supposed to beat them.
Yeah.
So I still think Texas is a fraud.
Yeah. Taj Brooks is the best running back in the Big 12. No, he's not. He isn't, bro. Come on. Look, I think the Tech, if I'm going to give one team that I think that would probably have an opportunity to beat Texas, it would probably be Texas Tech as far as their coaching is concerned and their talent level. It would be them. I still don't know. I still don't know that I'm buying it. I think that since Yormark gave them his seal of approval, you guys have not been that good. You beat freaking Houston and Baylor this past week. Whoopty crap. I just don't buy it, man. And I'm struggling to buy it because the league has been trash, man. I don't know. I think that does West Virginia end up playing Texas? They don't play Texas this year, do they?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So see, that's to me, and like I said, I don't trust Kansas State at all. Kansas State is lost to Missouri, trash, and Okie Light, trash. I don't buy them. So to me. And then, one of them is going to lose this weekend. Tech, we're going to find out. You better not lose this game to K-State, because if K-State can't beat freaking Oklahoma State and you can't beat them, not a good sign. Not a good sign.
It's I'm looking through here on the schedules, and the one schedule that everybody keeps on saying for Oklahoma that BYU is a scary game. You got to go look at BYU's schedule, though. They got, starting the 10-28, they've got at Texas, at West Virginia, Iowa State at home, and then Oklahoma at home.
I don't think that once in their time to Oklahoma or to Texas, though, too. They're not scared.
No, they lost to Kansas. BYU, but I think that with Texas, West Virginia, Iowa State, and Oklahoma, BYU's going to be limping down the ramp, and it's a night. That's set up for like a good night game. Maybe it'll be an earlier game that's not declared yet or any of that, but BYU is. They're 4-1, but they could, by the time that game, they could be close to 500.
Could be, but for that matter, so could if somebody's going to beat Texas, I trust them more than I would trust Tech or K-State. Because but they're going to be on the road, though. They're going to be on the road.
It'll be at Texas, yeah. So they got TCU this week.
That's a tougher one. That's the same
TCU
thing.
This week.
Tech and KSU have to both go to Austin too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I definitely look, Oklahoma they need to handle their business. This is when we talk about what we've talked about before the Cincinnati game and before the Iowa State one as well. Look, we know you can get up for Texas. We know that. We've seen it. We knew it before you got here. We knew that was going to happen. But now you need to show that you are going to go out there, show some grown up about you, go out there and handle your business. Do not screw around. Go out there and get it done. Show some maturity. Step on their damn neck.
Two things, Jason, as you make those statements. Number one, Lincoln Riley's not there any longer.
There is that.
And he always found a way to piss the game away every year. I lived by looking at the schedule and saying they're going to piss this one away or this one away. And I guarantee you he did it. Venables brings a different mentality to this football team. But the second thing is what y'all have been talking about, and it was very evident on Saturday: defense, defense, defense. Y'all have always played good offense, okay?
Yeah.
But the defense, and let's face it, the defense was the game changer the other night.
Sure.
Golly, the goal line stand, y'all played great defense. And if, we've always said this, and you can call it a coach's adage or whatever you want to. Defense wins championships. Offense wins games. But for the first time in a long time, I'm seeing y'all play defense. And that's the difference maker. And if y'all make it into that top 4 playoff, it's going to be because of your defense and Brent Venables. Yeah. And your quarterback, Dylan Gabriel.
Absolutely right.
And your quarterback, Dylan Gabriel.
Yep.
And I think another thing that you look at is now you've got some of the individual accolades, and you still have players like PJ Adebaware, and he is getting better every single day. You're getting some health back and some other guys. We did lose a couple also, which I fully understand that, but you're starting to see guys like Caden Green come in, and all of a sudden he's looking like, he's an offensive tackle, and he came in and he was a monster. And so you've got that. You've got Peyton Bowen, who continues to play better and better now that Deshaun McCullough is out there. You've got him. We've got so many people who still want to come out and get their playing time. And so you also want to go out and say, hey, listen, we got to get Jackson Arnold some more snaps. So we got to go out and handle our business. You still got to figure out the running game. Maybe that gets a little bit better with Caden Green out there. Maybe it gets a little bit better, after the bye week. But there are so many different things that, a butt kiss run for Danny Stutzman, perhaps some All-American runs from some of the other guys. And
Dylan's
these
in the
guys are
Heisman
playing.
conversation too. Go get it.
Dylan is the number 3 in the Heisman race right now. And, again, you rewind 7 weeks and you say, this is where your OU is going to be after the Texas game. Who wants this? Every single person would be like, well, I'll have it twice. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, no, Brian, I actually think, I think if anything, it could, but I also think that there's enough speed and enough depth. We've talked about it a lot, that competitive depth. So take a drink, everybody. That competitive depth there with that speed is what it could do is pull them tighter together. Because look, there's a lot of guys out there that are, there's been a lot of guys. I said it before coming into the week. I know a lot of people were thinking that the Texas receiver room was better than Oklahoma. That was one of their quote unquote advantages. I didn't say that not one time, because of the fact that you have so many guys that have contributed to the passing game going in.
Yeah,
so many guys. If you shut down, look, Andrell, he had some catches this past week, but look, when he went down, Farouk went off. And if you shut down Farouk, then you got to deal with Nick. And if you shut him down, then you got to deal with Jaden Gibson. And if you shut him down, you got to deal with the next guy. There's guys out there. And the thing is, look, now you get an opportunity at Petaway. He's got at least the same speed that Andrew Anthony has. He doesn't have the same amount of, experience. But this is what you don't get experience until you play.
Yeah. And listen, this is OU's got UCF coming up here in 2 weeks. The team who just gave up 400 yards rushing to Kansas. It's going to be a really, really good opportunity for the next couple of weeks for OU to run out there and try out some new stuff. And don't forget about Drake. Drake will get in there. You see Austin Stogner.
I'm not done with that. Yeah, there's G Freaky, there's Drake, there's guys that are capable of stepping up and doing their job. Not to mention, and there's the kid that came in from Texas.
Yeah, Brennan Thompson.
Brennan. But I'm just saying, there's guys out there, and who's going to step up? It could be by committee, and I think that's the best possibility for you anyway. Is that because if they take one guy away, and you generally you can shut down one guy. And you've noticed that they didn't have a ton of depth as far as it went for Texas's receiving corps.
Yeah, you saw a little bit. You saw A.D. Mitchell, you saw Anthony or Worthy, and
I think A.D. Mitchell has been the key to them. And then Jordan Whittington had the best game he's had as a Texas player.
Yeah, and then they've got a freshman kid, and I forget I'll think of his name, and again he made fun of Texas's swimming trophies and then ended up committing there. But they said they wanted to get him a little bit more involved, and that is they didn't. And then Stark said something about it after the game. We've got a full corral of wide receivers, so I'm not. You never want to lose your starting receiver, especially someone who, is leading the team in catches and everything. But Farouk has exploded the past 2 weeks. Anthony has proven that it's his time to shine. You've got a lot of time to play. And I promise you this is with Emmett Jones back over there. And now, with the Levy.
That's the other thing I was going to say. Emmett Jones is freaking been worth his weight in gold to this receiving corps, because last year, if we remember right, everybody loved our receiving coach as far as, I think he was a good guy, and I think that he might have worked himself out pretty good later on. And I think later on he could be a really good coach. He ain't got nothing on Emmett.
No.
Such a big deal for him to get him in there, and he's holding them accountable and making them a ton better. And look, we saw Jaden drop that ball the other day, but look, he's been better leaps and bounds better because of Emmett Jones and because of this competition that they got going on. They all want more looks and touches. Now you get your opportunity. Don't mess it up because we got another guy that'll jump in there and do it. If so, I think they're going to be fine. The tight end room, I don't know. I almost think that's where I've been saying this. If we're not going to get more out of Austin than what we have been, which we did this past weekend, then just put another receiver in because you're wasting up. We need somebody to step up. I also think that they're getting better week to week, though. I think that obviously if you look at the yardage situation, you can take that lazy take that USCJ and those guys are taking today over there in LA when they're trying to take up for USC. But they gave up 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals, and they had a goal line stand and had 3 takeaways. We ain't the same, bro. We ain't the same. So to me, this is where we're at. Go ahead.
You gave up outlet, so they went with a fake punt, a couple 4th downs.
Yeah.
And I mean, still this defense, I mean, they gave up 23 points to Texas.
That's right.
The defense did, because the block punt was another one. So
it's the most they've given up this season, but it's also pretty good whenever you consider how highly talented that offense is, and that includes Quinn.
Yeah. And the two younger tight ends, it's just what Brett Venables said at the beginning of the year. Your best ability is availability, and you've got to be healthy. Because I think Caden Helms wasn't even dressed out yesterday or this weekend. I saw him; he was right in front of me, and so I mean, you've got Blake Smith and Stogner, doing most of the heavy lifting, and Levy's going to run that 11 personnel. He's going to have the 2 tight ends out there, and we now have a lot of film for everybody else, knowing that Stogner is actually still on the team and will catch a pass if you throw it to him. And so I'd like to see some time, some garbage time for McIntyre. I'd like to see McIntyre get some more Vanua. I'd like to see him get some more time and maybe run some routes, kind of like we did. But, we're in a conference play right now. And so you got to continue to work on little bitty things to improve your team. And you should know pretty much, what everybody is at this point. It's hard for somebody 7 games in to come in and all of a sudden, be a factor outside of an injury replacement, kind of like the Andrell Anthony thing. So we'll just continue to go, and the team is going to continue to keep that personality of Brent Venables, and the rest. They are playing loose. They're happy. They're playing well, and they still have stuff to work on because I promise you, there's a lot of bulletin board material in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't buy it, Lubbock. You don't wish for that because it's in the same team that you got in overtime last year either. At home.
I'd wish for that. I'm with you. I would wish for that.
You would?
Because I still think Tech is one of those teams that upsets OU, upsets Texas. It's history. It's history, dude.
Whether it is history. Not. It's been once in like every 10 years since as long back as I can remember that they've beaten Oklahoma or Texas. Once every 10 years. So they got even if they were staying in the same conference, that's the truth.
I'd have to see that. I don't think that's every 10 years.
Oh, we can look. That's pretty easy to look up. So I'll show it to you here in a minute. Okay. All right. Let's see. Probably not in Norman, but you never know on a blackout in Lubbock one night. Okay. Yeah, once every 10 years, buddy. Once every 10 years. But in the end, look, I agree that if there's going to be a team that is going to be in this Big 12 that has an opportunity to beat either one of them, it's probably Lubbock. It's probably Tech. Because of the fact that I have a lot of respect for Joey. Go ahead.
I was just going to say,
what you got, Coop?
It looks like the last time that Texas Tech, prior to last year, beat OU was 2011. They got them in 2011,
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got it. They got them. I mean, they got OU. They went 3-3 between 2005 and 2009. But outside
Okay.
of that, it's lots of L's.
Stop. You have a better coaching staff than a lot of the Big 12. You do not have a better coaching staff than Oklahoma does.
No.
I'm
sorry. If you had
Big
if you had a better coaching staff, if you had a better coaching staff,
McGuire as much as you do. I promise you, I have nothing but respect for that Texas Tech program. I think that Coach McGuire is definitely going to be very good out there. His staff is not as good as the OU staff. It isn't.
No. It's just not. It's not even. It's probably not even middle of the road, guys.
Look, he's very, very good, and I think Kitley's okay. I think Kitley's okay. The defensive coaches, I'm not sure about them. And he lost Emmett, and Emmett was probably their next best coach.
I'm telling you, they're probably middle of the road coaching staff. Well, I mean, as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, look. You got to know, but you got to know better than coming in here and saying things like that. We're gonna let you off the hook here, but don't keep saying silly stuff like that because then we have to drag you around. It's kind of weird, you know, because you know better than that. You know better than that. That I agree with. It's not better than Oklahoma's staff, though. Okay, if that's what you meant to say, we're gonna let you off.
I buy that one.
That one I will give you. Yes.
Yeah, you had some low bars though. Just FYI, low bar because
right. No, listen, because even and look, I think that as good as look, Lincoln can draw up an offense. It's the same thing that you saw with Cliff. Cliff can he can dial it up and get a quarterback to do some things and stuff like that. But he was awful for your defense. I mean, it was criminal what he did defensively there. When you've got Baker and then you turn around and get Patrick Mahomes and you can't win more than 7 games.
I was just fixing to say,
holy shit.
What can Cliff do? I mean, you got Mahomes and you can't wipe your ass. I mean, come on, man.
That's right. And it was again, and I'm going to say this again. As much as look, I love it that Okie Light's always trying to talk about how the past 10 years they've won more games than anybody but Oklahoma. Well, good for you. You don't. This is the worst the Big 12 has ever been. Ever. It was a dumpster fire with a freaking Texas that just had zero relevance whatsoever. You should have won more, but you still Baylor won 3 freaking conference titles with 3 different coaches to your 1 since all this realignment shit started going down. Trash.
At this point, if you're arguing Big 12 championships in the Big 12, just stop. I mean,
it's silly talk.
This conference has been, absolutely. I mean, we are the one driving the minivan with all the Big 12 teams or the stick figures on the back of the minivan. That has been OU in the Big 12.
And look,
since 2000.
I said it last year a lot. I was like, look, man, Oklahoma won 6 in a row, and that's why and they went to 4 playoffs, and everybody wanted to act like it was better than it was. It wasn't. It was paper mache. It was freaking, you kept putting shit up on the wall to make it look like it was better. The foundation was bad. This needed to happen. It had to break. I've said this before. I know this is my thing. It had to break in Norman for it to get fixed correctly. Otherwise, they're freaking screwed. If they didn't break it all the way and we kept freaking duct taping the shit out of it, it was going to be bad. It had to break.
It was, I mean, again, and, take it for what it is, but OU was Texas Tech North. And until that went away, it was never going to change. It was never going to change. And everybody, that's why, and listen, it's still going to take 2 or 3 years of defense before anybody starts saying that this is legitimate because, OU could have a better defense next year. They could be better next year.
It probably it's definitely going to be better, right? I mean,
could be.
And that's with potentially losing some key guys. But with that being said, if OU goes to the playoff, it does not matter what they did all year long because the Big 12 is absolute dog shit. And everybody's going to be like, yes, but we've all seen this game before. OU play defense. And I don't know right now if you look at, let's go with, a Florida State. OU stood toe to toe with them at the end of the year last year. Now, were they playing their hardest? I'm not sure. Georgia Can they turn it on every single week? This is a different Georgia team than last year. Kentucky game this week was an absolute ass thrashing. But I promise you, if OU gets a Michigan in the playoff,
Georgia, and that's what they were trying to do. That was stupid.
Yeah, if OU gets a Michigan in the playoff like TCU did, game on. Now, if we have to go play Alabama in Georgia or something like that, like nobody wants that crap.
It's probably going to get beat. Yeah, look, and I've said that to myself. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not, but you were the one that said that they could have a playoff run this year before I said it.
Mm-hmm.
You did. I've not been the one drinking that Kool-Aid, bud. And I'm still not sure I'm drinking it. Right? And as far as getting in there, I'm still on that. You got to show me deal. You got to show it to me because we have seen this too many times. Now, I do trust and believe in this staff a hell of a lot more, and I like the fact that you are seeing out of this team looks a lot more like Brent Venables than it does Lincoln Riley now. They're playing hard on defense. They're coming up with big stops. They are hitting hard. You're seeing some things. I mean, look, they're leading the country in interceptions. They're one of the top scoring defenses in the country. I believe in this team. They still gave up less points to freaking Texas than Alabama did, and that was at home for Alabama. So I believe in this defense. Is it going to get better? Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that this is the year that Oklahoma gets it all done. I think that this is a step in the right direction. And, and I never really thought that Texas was going to get it done. Even if they did beat Oklahoma, I would have never believed that they were national championship contenders. Never.
No, I don't. I think there's too much Texas in Texas. And that's based, Sark is a little bit different and he's doing some things right, but it's still Texas. It's still Texas. And
sure.
And listen, if OU,
when they were talking about they wanted more of their flowers for beating an Alabama team that isn't the same Alabama team we've seen for the last 15 years.
Yeah, and listen, as far as my comment about next year, the defense is going to be better. I'm putting that with like you lose Woody Washington, maybe Billy Bowen, Bowman, and you lose a lot of people up front. I know what's coming in. Trust me.
But you get to keep Lacey though around, don't you? I mean, there's a lot coming in. Oh well, there's a lot coming in, but you can't depend on just freshmen either.
Yeah, you see that in A&M. They've had to depend on freshmen, and that's not going to be 12 games of dependability. You've got a lot of guys who can stick around on OU's defensive line. But again, don't get it twisted. Like you see Stutzman doing what he's doing this year. I mean, he is making a run at All-American and Butkus and all that stuff. I mean, if he goes to the NFL draft, you turn around and you have to get a new leader on the defense. Can that be Kanik? Is that going to be a Kip Lewis?
It could be. Yeah.
And, or is Peyton Bowen take a bigger spot? Do one of these guys come in and, with an R. Mason Thomas or something like that, do one of those guys become the dude? So I mean,
McKenzie, look, there's guys that can step in, but I agree. I think that Kanik, he led the team in tackles yesterday or Saturday. That was huge.
13 tackles. Yeah. And
13 tackles. He's showing that, they're definitely taking steps forward from week to week. And that's a good thing, and you're going to have to give up some yardages to not give up a ton of points. I think that the game it ended up closer than what it kind of could have been. Whenever you look at it, there was a couple of things and you didn't play perfect. Everybody that wants to, that stupid narrative that they played their C- game and Oklahoma played their A+ game is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, because that's not the case either.
It was a competitive football game. And I don't ever think that when you have two competitive teams that are really good, neither of them are going to play their A+ game. You as a team with any defensive prowess at all, you are going to force the other team to make mistakes. And when it all comes down to it, OU created 3 turnovers, hard fought, and that doesn't even count in the turnover on downs. So there's 4 right there.
Hey, Mike, I was very happy to say what I just said about Kanik because we have been rough on his ass all year.
I will tell you this, though. His second half, he was tired and he was worn out. But
he was.
The that Gentry Williams interception, the double clutch came because Kanek sank how he was supposed to for the first time in freaking 25 years on OU's defense. It's not always about coverage. It's about angles. And Kanek sank back, and that made Quinn Ewers double clutch. And then when he double clutched, Gentry Williams' eyes lit up, and he made the play. But that was a Kanek play. He is starting up. Absolutely. And he played, against Iowa State, he had one of his worst games. So, he's going to have ups and downs, and he's going to continue. Thing is everybody around him is playing better too.
Well, you saw that from Danny Stutzman last year too. As many tackles as he made, how many mistakes did he make throughout the year? In the wrong damn gap. In the same gap as the guy next to him and shit. And, I mean, the Baylor game, I remember that overhead view when they've got, it's Squirrel Williams is running right through a whole wide-ass opening. Danny's jamming up the other gap with another player.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of
Danny's not playing perfect either. He got pinned in a couple times but again, it's the steps. It's how you doing.
Another one that we've been hard on, Mike, was Ethan Downs. I've been hard on Ethan Downs. I've been saying sit his ass down a lot. Get his out, move him inside or get him on the bench. He played his ass off this week.
Yeah.
Played his ass off.
That was the best game of his career this week. And
by far,
if I'm Chavis, if I'm Bates, if I'm Venables, I look at him and I say, that is what you have in you. And if you don't bring it out, that's on you. That's not on us. That's on you. You go out there and do that again. And yes, that preseason all Big 12 thing, that's legitimate now. And I was dead wrong on Ethan Downs. Dead wrong on Ethan Downs.
Yeah. Hey, no, me too, man. He can play that way, and he's gotten bigger and bit. But I think you could have stacked more weight on him and move him inside, because I don't think he's ever been terrible. I just don't think that he's ever been the guy from the defensive end position that he was getting home. He wasn't getting home, man, ever. And so that was my problem with him. And look, and I mean, how can you not like Ethan Downs? I mean, the guy's a good kid, but man, you got to get home sometimes, and he wasn't getting there. And for him he was playing with some damn fire.
Yeah,
man,
it's
shit.
And so if you're hearing
orange colored glasses or a face shield, so he thinks everybody's Texas.
Yeah, and here we're not talking down on Kanek or Downs right now. We're giving them the opposite. He is putting it together because this guy, this guy wasn't a linebacker in high school.
I should be ashamed, Kevin. Really?
He isn't.
We're not hating on. Everybody likes Jaron Kanek, bro. Come on now. I should be.
We need Kanek. We need Kanek to.
I just said he had a great game. Yeah. A stud in the Texas game. Yeah. Hey, I just said I would love to see him. They should put that freaking something that makes everybody look burnt orange. Do it.
Yep.
Do whatever you got to do to make him play like that. We're not hating on. Let me just say this one more time, Kevin. We're not hating on any of these guys. We were talking about that you've seen them take steps forward, big steps forward.
And that's why I'm excited about this team for the rest of the year, is because you still have an absolute the opportunity for more guys to find that game. And you're seeing it almost every single weekend. You're seeing somebody else step up and have just a phenomenal game.
Well, we were talking about this last week when we were saying that, basically they've run a rotation of 25 to 30 guys in and out of that defense. Mm-hmm. And they've still been you hadn't seen a big drop off anywhere at any position. You just haven't, we're talking even in the secondary too, when you get guys like, the younger kids coming in like Makari Vickers, and guys like that. He's come in and done great things as well. Any of these guys that are popping in there are still getting it together, which tells you that they're all on the same page, which is good news.
Yeah.
Right? That's the good thing. Anyway, yeah, it's we're not in a damn cult. We just criticize just like coaches do, and we can still have dissenting opinions. Yeah. Look, I don't think that we're highly critical on this channel, to be quite honest with you. We say what's real. We say what's real, but we're not the kind to shame on us and stuff like that. That ain't us. This is not Twitter.
No.
This is not Twitter.
If we were that way, we'd be talking about special teams right now, which we're not going to because.
No, look, I'm not, and I didn't come in here to do anything. I don't want to. Yeah, and that's been not good, but that's that's leftover from whatever from before. I think I really think that you got to get a better punter. I don't know what the hell's wrong with that kid, but whatever's going on there, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. They got it done. They got it done the other day. So big steps were made, and that's the point that we've been trying to make. We look, they are better. They've been better on defense from day one of this season, and you could see it. And it wasn't like the first 3 games of last year where it kind of looked like they were a little better, but they then you played somebody decent and you realize that it was the same team that Lincoln left. That's the difference. Is now that they have flipped over all but 15 guys of the 85-man scholarships or whatever. All but 10 or 15 guys, now you're seeing a difference because you have the guys you need. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, I will say this, there's still a lot of work to do in the secondary. I'm going to continue to lean on, I think that he's a great guy and I think that he's a great player, but Reggie Pearson, he is going for kill shots way too often. And I think that he needs to, if that's who he is, we kind of were told. And Big Lubbock, you can talk to me about this one because Pearson is he's given up some stuff and he has had some decent busts and some missed tackles when he's trying to knock somebody out. I think that there's a constructive way to do that, and I would just like to see him play a little bit better. We're going to need some health on the defensive back side. Hopefully that's all taken care of because Gentry Williams is good for about 3/4 of the game. And then, whether it's the shoulder or, that situation, and it was hot. Trust me, I was freezing my ass off walking to the fair and I didn't want to carry anything. I didn't want to have a shirt with me or anything like that. And by the end of the game, I was sweating my backside off. And so you got to know it was hot down on the field. Did you guys, I don't know if any of y'all saw it, one of the damnedest things, and if you guys are in the chat, we're at the game, Texas lights off this massive burnt orange smoke bomb right before kickoff. And that damn thing lingered in the stands. And I mean, people have Agent Orange or something going on because it was insane. I mean, that thing probably hung around for 5 to 10 minutes and you couldn't see people through it. And everybody on our side, we were, I was right above the game-winning touchdown. So I got to see that right there. It was terrific. But like we were just watching it and everybody's like, oh my God, Texas Agent Orange, here we go. And it was an absolute, it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, that orange cloud just hanging out over everybody. But it's completely, it was hot out there. You got to see some of these defensive backs find their health. And Josiah Wagner, we heard that he was a potential day one starter and he hasn't been able to get himself healthy. I think Kanai Walker, he needs to get himself healthy because you don't want to be running out Key Lawrence at corner, especially after all the talk that we had. Makari Vickers is a little banged up. We're going to have to start seeing a couple other guys out there. We've got the safeties, which is great. When you're running out Bowman, Robert Spears-Jennings, Reggie Pearson, Key Lawrence, and then you also can run Kendall Dolby out there as a safety. It is an absolute blessing to have that type of safety depth, especially with us running out Pat Fields and Justin Broyles for, seems like 25 years. I don't those guys. I don't know how long they played college football, but I think their kids are both on the team. But right. We've got some good depth, and again, you got a week, take it off, get healthy, get better, a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt, guys. Just so we're clear on this, COVID, we haven't been. Look, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a sunshine pumper, but I'm not that hard on anybody. I'm just not, and especially 1 year in, I didn't expect miracles. And if anybody I wasn't hard on, it's definitely been Dylan Gabriel, and I've wanted people to back the hell off of him because it wasn't about if there was somebody to be hard on, it was the defensive side of the football, and I don't necessarily even think that was their fault either. I think that is the fault of Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch and what they left you with. That's it. Until this team got flipped around and you were able to bring in some of the guys that and look and learn this sophisticated defense, which is nothing close to what they were running in the speed D. It's nothing close. So until they learned that, the expectation level needed to drop a little bit. Now I get it. And yeah, I can't wait to see Peyton play a lot more. We've been saying that a lot. And I had Stephen Coleman on here. Coach, he used to play for Coach at Skyline, and he played back when Gerald McCoy and Tommy Harris played. And he was saying that, look, he even said, he was like, man, I don't think that kid should ever come off the field. You know? And I tend to believe that. I tend to believe that. Huh?
I said, sorry, Coach. We brought up Peyton Bowen.
Yeah. You know, guys, hell, I already got my ass handed to me this week, and then y'all got to bring up Peyton.
Peyton's a bad dude, man. Peyton's a bad dude. Yeah. It's just real. Reality.
Y'all are nasty.
Yeah. He played 17 snaps and I don't know why exactly. I mean, Jonah La'alu, played 15. There were guys like Stutzman was 79, Kanik was 77, Washington 76, Billy Bowman 69, Ethan Downs 60, Pearson played 51. So I mean, it's you got lots. I think it was 23 people on the stat sheet again on defense. So it's you got lots of fun. Lots of fun is happening out here.
Yeah, and I think that the one thing about Pearson is, you want him in the game to lower the boom on some people, but he hasn't been great in coverage, and I don't think he was great in coverage at Tech either, by the way. No. So I get that. So it's
and he's a good tackler, but
he's a damn good tackler.
He's missed a lot of tackles too, and
he's a headhunter, and that sometimes you miss,
It's not a team-wide epidemic, and that's what it has been. I'm okay with somebody missing a few tackles. That doesn't bother me. It's when somebody takes a halfback dive and has 6 different Sooners bounce off of him and go for 37 yards. That's what I don't like seeing.
I agree. Coach, answer this question. I want to jump to the next couple of things so we can wrap up. But I mean, there's a couple of things we do want to talk about before we get out of here. Coach, what do you I kind of don't feel like he is today, but I could be wrong there. So what are your thoughts here?
No, Freeman's not in trouble, guys. It took Lou Holtz and it took some of our, it took some other coaches a couple years, and Freeman, in my opinion, is ahead of the game still. Now I know.
I think he is too. I think they need to do something about.
He's got to make some coaching changes. And it begins with his offense coordinator.
Come on, have some imagination, for Christ's sake, on offense.
I feel like we went from shittier to shitty. We just got to keep improving in that area. So, as far as, and I'm talking about offense coordinator. But no, he's not in trouble. He'll be just fine.
And I think I like Marcus. I think he's going to be fine. I think that his learning curve, you talked about it before, that first time being a head coach, there's a learning curve to it.
Yeah. And he's still learning.
And I didn't like the 10 men on the field, back-to-back plays, and then his excuse for it was shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that pissed me off really bad too. I mean,
right.
Don't give me that kind
I would tell you that the athletic department in the school is to blame for a lot of what's going on with this team right now, because offensively they would be better if they had another coordinator, period.
If they had hired the guy from Utah.
Absolutely.
I mean, and they had a chance and they pissed it away and basically put Marcus in this situation.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So I feel like that's Gabriel was held to a higher standard than any. Yeah, because of who he replaced, and that wasn't fair to him from day one. I said that, and I know a lot of people have said he ain't the guy. Well, no, he's not Caleb. He proved that he was the guy this past week, and that's why I've said a lot. Hey, ain't gonna be catching strays in here. I'm not having it, and it's because I'm not saying he's perfect. He's not perfect. But guess what? Neither was Caleb Williams, and neither was Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray. None of those guys have been perfect. And I tell you that I thought Jalen was the least perfect of all of them.
Listen. I will sit here, and if you want to ever hear of my hot take after the LSU game, we were sitting at Fox and Hound, playing NFL, general manager. And I made a comment that I said, some guy was like, he's going to be another first-round draft pick for OU. And I said, I don't think if Jalen Hurts will play quarterback in the NFL. That was my take.
But
tell me if I'm wrong. 100%.
So here's what they did that was smart. They did what I said this all during that season is that Lincoln, this is why Lincoln's really good at what he does offensively. He kept Jalen out of trouble so much that year. Mm-hmm. I was at the Baylor game when they went down 28-7 at the half, right? And I said, if they don't, it was freezing ass cold. I was ready to get the hell out of there. If they don't score immediately after the half, I'm out of here because I wasn't going to hang around for it. I could listen to it and watch it on the freaking phone, for that matter, on the way out of there. But it was bad. But what Lincoln did is he started hitting the short passes out of the backfield. He got CD close to him a lot, and CD was able to break some runs. And they systematically came back and lets him run. It's the same thing they do with him in Philly. He throws deep balls and he throws things that are 10 yards and in. That's it. That's all he does. 10 and in and deep balls that you can go run under. You don't have to be super accurate. You're never going to see Jalen throwing those sideline routes, right? What you saw from even Dylan the other day. That throw that he made, Jalen doesn't make that throw.
No, and I'll say this in the hierarchy. I got to say that you got Kyler, Baker, Jalen, Bradford, Jason White, and then I'd probably say DG's right there and with Landry Jones. And is he going to be like Landry Jones in Sooners' eyes? Landry Jones is statistically the best quarterback in OU history.
But he doesn't get enough love.
I think that DG is going to go down as a guy who doesn't get the props, and you're going to have to throw away last year because they're not going to, it's going to be all of this year. Now, if Dylan Gabriel somehow, and again, this is a somehow, puts us in the national championship game, and he, I don't care if it's win or lose. I think that if he goes there, he will be elevated in stature. But right now, if OU plays Penn State in the last out game or something like that, you're going to have to look at it and say, like, Dylan Gabriel is a super accomplished quarterback, and he did more than his fair share.
I think he's going to throw one on UCF next week for all the shit they've been talking. I can't wait.
Yeah.
That's one of those. It makes me really glad that that's what you get coming off of this game is that somebody that's been running their mouth since they got here. Yeah. One of those teams like that.
Everybody
Adela,
loves Paul Thompson.
So glad you came in, Adela.
Everybody loves Paul Thompson. Paul Thompson came in and was a stopgap and absolutely was a team first mentality guy. Sure. And he led a couple of really good OU teams. Dylan Gabriel is better than Paul Thompson. So if you had any affinity and love for Paul Thompson, he's better than Trevor Knight. He's better than Blake Bell. He's better than Nate Hibble. He's better than Rhett Bomar. He has came in. To sit there behind Kyler, Baker, Jalen, Sam Bradford, Jason White, and be in that same conversation as Landry Jones, it's and I'm saying I think that he's slightly above Landry Jones. I think Landry Jones, his success was 100%.
That Landry Jones sucks stuff. Sooner in Texas, easy.
Yeah, no, I think that Landry Jones.
Was my boy.
When Ryan Broyles got hurt, Landry Jones was lost.
That's fair.
But
That's
again,
fair.
has a shit offensive line, and
bad line, and then look, there was a lot of things that were wrong with that football team by that time. This was right about the time that they ran off freaking Josh and and brought back Mike and let Venables get out of there. There was a lot of crazy shit going on in Norman at that time, if y'all remember.
And I'll say this too, and I'm just going back to 2000. I'm not throwing in J.C. Watts and Dean Blevins and all those guys because that's a different game.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Sam was different, man. Sam was just different, bro. Go ahead.
I was reading the will UT recover or lose their focus? It's Texas. Texas and expectations don't do well together. I've said it.
I'll believe it. Yeah, look, it's like Coach said, I'll believe it when I see it when they get there. I think that they should. I'm going to tell you, I think that they should. We should be meeting them. I've said this week after week. You should be meeting them in Arlington, December, whatever it is, the first weekend of December. You should. Will you?
Yeah, there's
and
guess what?
Doubt it, man.
There are a lot of people right now saying that Texas isn't going to make it. I'm not there yet. I want to see, based off of what I've seen so far, Texas got beat by a better team this week. That doesn't mean that they're a bad team. Now,
I don't think they're a bad team. I don't. And I think that they should look talent-wise. I've said this enough today, but I'm going to say it one more time. The Big 12 is crappy. Okay? It's crappy. Aside from these two programs, the rest of the league is shit. And I just feel like because other than maybe Tech is the next one, but when you see Kansas State go and lose to Missouri, right, and then turn around and lose at the worst Oklahoma State team I've seen probably ever that I can remember, then I do not believe in KSU. I don't. And look, Tech got beat by freaking West Virginia, and as much as I want to say they're probably okay, I don't buy West Virginia yet, folks. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah, well, in Kansas State, Will Howard hasn't looked the same since he wore his ankle out against Missouri, and he looks more like the Will Howard that we knew prior to last year. Last year, he came in, and when you got a full team around and you're not asked to do absolutely everything, you get situations where Will Howard and then, last year with Max Duggan, those two programs just did some special stuff last year. And you can't get that type of luck and fortuity and, just situational placement back-to-back years. It's hard to do it for a whole damn year because, you always come back to the mean. And so Kansas State, they're having a down. They also don't have that Deuce Vaughn stud running back. They don't really have a go-to receiver. They don't have the super overachievers on the defensive line. And that's it. So the Big 12 looked really, really, really good on paper prior to the year. And now you're kind of here. And so it's OU and Texas should meet December 2nd at Jerry World. They should. Will they? That's why you play the game. I can't remember which coach says that's why you play the game. But you got to show up and you got to go out there and do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, 13-0, you're in. You're in. Hey, look, I don't care how they go. I think they have to go 13-0, though. I do. I think that more than likely you have to go 13-0.
I don't think that you're getting an undefeated out of the ACC. I don't think that you're getting an undefeated out of the Pac-12. I don't think that you're getting an undefeated out of the Big Ten. So, yeah, if OU goes undefeated, they'll be there. And they'll be up there pretty high.
I think that I think that unless they beat – but they – look, even if they lost a game like screwed up and slipped and beat Texas again or something and only lost 12-1, then I could possibly see it working out that way. Honestly, though, I think that the best way is really just to go there. You need to go 13-0. You need to go 13-0 to guarantee it because of you play. Look, and I don't even believe in the narrative shit that's been out there that I mean, look, the schedule hasn't been that hard, but I'm telling you this. There's a lot of freaking teams out there that have played shitty schedules, including Michigan and Ohio State and everybody else that they were going to love on. But I'm telling you, that narrative being out there, you need to win them all. You need to win them all.
And one game at a time. One game at a time. That's all you got to say. Because, again, this team has done week to week to week. They have found where they had the adversity to just do the kill shot and to make the game-winning play last year. They could not do it. This year, they are doing it. They have the aversion to beating themselves. And as long as you don't, because, look at the penalties from this week. Texas had 9 penalties. I believe OU had 4 or 5. they looked good. Now, should they have gotten a couple of extras? Potentially. I'm still waiting for the flag to drop when Ethan stood over Quinn Ewers. I'm still waiting for that penalty because I don't understand how it didn't, because he had three teammates pull his ass away immediately.
Yeah, like what the hell is wrong with you? Yeah. Maybe because of how quick they got him away is why it didn't happen.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it was pretty wild that he did that. I was like, oh shit, there's a penalty. Get a sack taken away. What's the matter with you?
That's probably why Trace Ford got his, because it was a makeup, because Trace Ford didn't do anything and he got the penalty.
Fair enough.
But I also got to say is that one safety that hit Dylan Gabriel down on the ground when he slid. I still don't understand how they didn't review that for targeting. I mean, they called the personal foul, but they didn't even review it. And it feels like they almost review every damn thing, especially when it's a quarterback who's had a history of concussions.
Yeah.
But we were joking that the refs were going to start throwing a bunch of targeting penalties in the second half to kind of screw both teams over. But I mean, the only one that they had, I mean, it was good. I'm pretty happy.
I was glad to see them do that too. When I saw Stutzman in his face and those guys, I mean, they were over there on his ass fast, get him off of there. And I was really glad to see that. But it was, that was and look, you'd rather have to settle them down a little bit than get them wound up. But you need to, we can't have that. And I'm sure that's been gone over plenty with him.
And if Ethan plays like that the rest of the year, plays like that the rest of the year and he gets 3 unsportsmanlike penalties, I'm okay with that. I really am. Like if he plays like that the rest of the year, it's just he was a man possessed this week.
Lincoln Riley and Tony Altimore have a lot in common. Yeah, I would agree. Game's going to be chippy. Yeah, look, he didn't. What are we talking about? What was the head hit that we're talking about?
On Dylan Gabriel when he slid. And I mean, they went down. Now, he has been taking a lot of those slides to where he's giving himself up, and it's the same thing that he got hit in TCU last year. I don't know if they need to relook at that, but he's running fearless. He runs completely different than he did last year, and that is knowing that he has got somebody behind him, because Sam Mays brought it up Sunday. Yeah. But you can tell the difference between Dylan Gabriel last year and this year. But where the Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler situation, it was a completely different situation. Spencer Rattler puckered up his already too tight backside, and he played scared. Like he knew Caleb Williams was coming for him. You had people like Damian Mackey and other players who were calling it before the season started that year, saying, I think Caleb Williams might be the better quarterback between these two. This year, you've got Dylan Gabriel, who takes care of his team, takes care of everybody. And he saw Jackson Arnold behind him. And instead of him going, you know what, I'm not, he put in the work and he got better. And I think that's the difference in Dylan Gabriel this year, is that decision to see Jackson Arnold and say, listen, I'm fine with it. I'll tutor him and I will get better. I will be better. And that's the most impressive thing about Dylan Gabriel this year for me.
No, I agree. And I think that you've seen a lot of grown-upness from Jackson. A lot of kids come in and want to play right now when they won the Elite 11 and they were number 1.
He's a different cat. I mean, he is an absolute different cat. And like I said, I want to see some garbage time coming up here soon, because I want to see him get some more time.
Yep, absolutely.
Not in the Arnold dozer.
Folks, please do hit that like button. Hit the like button, man. We've had about 600 people in here. We haven't even gotten 100 likes yet. Not 600 in and out of here, but anyway, come on. Help us out here. Get us to 100. Get us to 100. Help us out here. All right. First person to hug DG after the game-winning touchdown was Jackson. Absolutely. He loves him. He even said he was here to learn from him.
Yeah.
And I've seen where he said that there were things that he didn't, as much as similar as the offense they ran at Geyer was to what they run at Oklahoma, there was things that he did not know and was not ready for. He said that he needed this year. Now, or however much of it, whatever happened, because there's no guarantee that anybody stays healthy. We've seen this week to week. It happens. But this is a guy that, yes, he can come in and spell him, but I think you would end up seeing Oklahoma miss some things there too, where, again, it's always the most popular guy in the freaking world is the backup quarterback. It's always like that. We know that.
Except for last year. It was the fourth string running backs with Booty.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, look, and I mean, I have yet to be able to understand why Nico didn't go in and play until the very end of the football game. I mean, if you're going to do that, why not just put him in, But, yeah, anyway, I still just think that look, as far as USC is concerned, I don't know why he's so hell-bent on trying to compare Oklahoma and USC's defense. I don't get it. But and I like USCJ. We're pretty cool. But I'm disappointed in what he had to say today on Twitter. Look though, man. It's they're hunkering down in a bunker and they're 6-0, man. It's copium. They're trying to hold on to what they are, and they see that it's coming apart there. It's not hard to see it if you watch the game again. I like Fish a lot. I think he's a good coach. I think Jed Fish is a good coach. But Arizona's not good. Arizona's not good. So it is what it is. And I saw him in that thread said that Arizona and Arizona State could compete with Texas like OU did. No. I'm done. Look, no. That's I mean, get out of here with that shit.
That's a conversation that doesn't even need to be had.
I don't even know what he's doing. I don't know what and again, I'm a fan of USCJ. I like his show. I think that has been generally one of those USC creators that you can. I mean, he's not Tim Prangley, but it was a bad take, man. It's a bad take. That's all I gotta say. All right, guys. I wanted to jump to these last couple of things. Let me just real quick, and we will just do it fast and get out of it. But real fast here.
Coach is going to lose his voice talking so much.
Yeah, he's been awfully. I can't even get him to shut up today. Yeah, so
still pissed off, guys.
He's what it is. He's pissy. It's all right. Jimbo Fisher's gutless game plan for Texas A&M loss. Is there any world in which A&M keeps Fisher around after 2023? Coach, Chatty,
I'd get it rid. I would have gotten rid of his ass yesterday.
Do they actually do it though?
I don't think they do.
This is their prime for the pickings, and you're at home, and you punt in plus territory in the fourth quarter.
Nah.
Get him out of here if it's me. You got to go. Hell,
but same question, will they?
Look how long Notre Dame took to pay off Charlie Weiss. They got his ass out of there when it was time to go. You know?
I know.
I think it's more than just the buyout. It's the fact that whoever they're going to bring in is going to want $200 million, on their contract too. And that's just that. I mean, you've got all that money. I think that's
what you pay them these days. Big deal.
Well, you're getting $500 million. Yeah, you're getting close to $500 million to try to redo everything.
He would already.
Hell yeah.
He would. Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
I think he may have threatened him with it once. Keep Fisher. They might get someone good. No. Like who? Hold on.
Urban Meyer.
This is. You think? I think that might be the job for Urban, right? But even Urban would fuck that up. Bro.
I'm thinking that if somebody really just did something insane, I mean, A&M's probably already made calls to Lincoln. They've probably already made calls to Urban. They've probably already made calls to there's conversations to Dion. I think that too much is what are you trying to do? Because you watch Texas and OU, just from their perspective, you watch them and what they're doing this year and how they're playing this year, and you go, okay, so if we do nothing, we're taking 2 steps back next year when they come into the conference.
Right.
Now,
right.
Do you maybe hold on to the fact that you don't have to win a division or win a conference or anything going, forward next year? Maybe so. But I don't think that they've got the taters to do it. I think that they would have to have somebody lined up pretty well. But the most A&M thing in the world would be to fire Jimbo Fisher with the promise of somebody else to come in and that person not show.
But don't you think that Petrino would be better just as an immediate replacement by himself? I do. Without Jimbo there, I think it works. I think that probably works.
As long as they hide the secretaries.
Who cares? I don't care about that. If I'm an A&M fan, I want them to win, right?
And then he can bring Urban in as his OC, and then they can hide the secretaries and the college girls both.
But look, I'm talking about football here, not sex. But I get
we're
it.
Talking football too.
Yeah,
okay. They like to mix them both up. So
Midnight Mail's looking for a job.
You're gonna does A&M have the guts to go find the next guy? To go pull somebody from a South Dakota State, or do they want? Is it going to be like a Texas situation where they got to have somebody? They got to have somebody that's going to rile up the fan base and get them all excited, get them all hot and bothered, and let them think that they have a chance again. Because A&M has not won anything since color TV.
No, they haven't.
Exactly.
And I mean, even RC Slocum, all those guys, none of them did shit. None of them. They've all been bad. ATM should hire Alex Grinch. I think they'd be closer to hiring at Lincoln Riley. I think he's the guy for him. I think that I think that this is after Lincoln bolts on USC to the NFL, and then he loses a little shine there, and then Texas A&M gets him right at the worst time for him. That's when he gets that job. And I'm not going to be mean about Texas Tech. I think that's where he – never mind. Okay. ATM needs to hire Lincoln. I agree, but they won't. They will. They will. I think they will. I think they will absolutely do it.
After California, I don't think Lincoln takes that. That's the SEC. He's going into the SEC knowing that he's going to come in at best, maybe the 6th or 7th program at its peak.
Ego says he goes NFL.
Oh, I think he does that. I think he does that. All right, next thing. If that one wasn't fireable, what about your boy in Miami? Coop, what about your boy in Miami? Does he get fired for not taking a knee? They get a fumble and then lose the freaking game to Georgia Tech.
Wow.
How the hell does he live through that one if you're Mario Cristobal?
Wow.
Sometimes the obvious choice is the best choice. And sometimes you get too cute for your own good.
Yeah.
This is
wow.
Art Briles. That's why I kind of.
Yeah, I saw the face. Yeah.
But you know what? And I'm not going to lie to you. You know who A&M might try to come after? Jeff Lebby.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, I think they would too. I've been worried about that for a while now. I don't know that Jeff would want that job though. Do you?
I think he would.
The money could be right. The money could be right though.
Yeah, I think that, and then and if you're worried about Lebby and Jackson Arnold and everybody else, I don't, that he's not going to take a quarterback with him. Arnold's going to stay, and Sperry would stay, and who
Sperry would
is
for sure stay. But I like Michael Hawkins. Michael Hawkins looks really, really good. By the way,
he does look really, really good.
Really good.
I'm not going to say we're going to have a nice backfield, of quarterbacks at some point, and the transfer is going to, come into that. Hawkins last year got judged really, really bad when they played Denton Guyer and Jackson Arnold, and Guyer just walked all over him. And he is having an awesome year this year. But just as far as Lebby goes, if Lebby does go,
but Allen was so down when they did that. They ran through Allen. They ran through that team because they were bad. It wasn't on. That wasn't on him.
No, it wasn't. You ran into. I mean, it's the same thing like with Arnold and them playing in the.
They were a buzzsaw, bro. They were at buzzsaw at Geyer, and the only reason they ran into one too at Duncanville. You know what I mean? But
Duncanville had. I mean, I think Duncanville had like 6 or 7 D1 athletes on their defense. I mean, they were
beat
nasty
the shit
too.
out of Geyer, man. They beat the hell out of Geyer in that game. It wasn't even close.
Now Dion going to Miami.
Dion to Miami.
Now Dion going to Miami is a very big thing because I don't think Florida State is going to be getting rid of Norvell. So
I don't think that they would go after Dion if they did.
I think that he has caused some issues, and he is,
pissed a lot of people off. Pissed a lot of people off at FSU.
Now,
but I think that he's almost embracing that, and with Michael Irvin and them loving each other as much as they do, I could see him at Miami more now than I ever probably could, or Clemson. But I could definitely, because hey, here's the other thing: is I don't think Dabo was around much longer. I don't. But I'm telling you, I don't know how you can survive if you're now. Look, I agree that when it comes to Mario, he's done a pretty good job where he's been, but he's not a good X's and O's guy anyway. I don't think that he's the guy that gets you over the hump. He may recruit to get you where you need to be, but it's going to be the next coach that wins. You might as well do it now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Cristobal's going anywhere. I think that was a very, very, very bad look, and especially with everything that's on the table for them, everything on the table, and it's Georgia Tech and Hayes King, who was a castaway from A&M. I mean, that's the bad thing, but it's not even that. It's that touchdown that they gave up. That was one of the worst defenses I've ever seen played, and you got one job. And so
I'm not as sure as everybody else is that Colorado's going to lose him. He's going to have a boatload of cash and an easy trip to the freaking playoff right where he's at.
Well, listen, we gotta reassess at the end of this season. We're going to start reassessing how we look at college football with this new playoff, because you can take a team and actually let them grow, and you can lose a game early in the year and it mean almost nothing. Now, that being said, you don't want to end up as the lower seed with an Alabama coming into town, or you having to go to Tuscaloosa or something like that. Like, that's going to be
I've said this a bunch. It's not about access. The access will be there, but it's not about it's the expanding the playoffs has never been about more teams having or more programs having a real chance to win the shit. No, it's never been about that.
It's the same thing as Northwest Tennessee, Chattanooga, Pine Bluff State, getting to play in the play-in game because they got to be in the tournaments, right? Or the NBA. It's just it's about the eyeballs. I promise you guys that all these TV contracts, these TV networks are trying to still figure out how we're gonna make these things work, because all this money for the TV contracts, they need it. I mean, you see it with Monday Night Football. ABC had a couple of ABC exclusive Monday Night Football games. I think we had 8 or 9 at the beginning of the year, and then 2 weeks ago they said, "Hey, we're going to give you the rest of them," because they need the eyeballs. People are cutting cable subs. People are not, they're not spending that money for, on that. And so you're going to see, they're going to have to butter this thing up, and they're going to have to make as much money as possible off of that. And so you're going to hear talking points be kind of crazy. They're going to need the Cinderellas. They're going to need the long shots, because they're going to have to pump those things up, because it's still going to be the same, 2 to 3 teams a year that actually have a legitimate chance at winning the thing.
Yep.
Right.
Nothing of that changes. You're not going to, because tell me this, a Boise State from years ago comes in as the number 12 team, and they've got to run through, it's not one magical game to win it all or anything like that. You got to run through perhaps a Michigan, an Oregon, and then a Georgia. Like, they're not going to do that shit. It's impossible for a Boise State to win that much. Can they get one, and can they piss off one fan base? Sure. Can they do it 3 times? No. I mean, you didn't see TCU couldn't duplicate anything that they had going on when they faced up against Georgia.
No, and part of that was the fact that they were trying to run a 3-3-5 up against that freaking nasty ass big monstrous offense that they had at Georgia. It was the stupidest thing ever. There were look, Coach I talks about this all the time, and Coach talks about this all the time. The 3-3-5 is about having the guys down on, especially on the defensive line, to be able to run it. You can't do that shit. You can't.
Yeah, the playoff is going to be different. Now, going back to Cristobal, I don't think they fire him. On Miami, that's their first loss, and they've got everything out in front of them. They've got great matchups up here in the next couple of weeks, and so let's reconvene in 3 weeks and see, what they've done the next couple of weeks and see if they've come back from it. Now, Miami, this is not Clinton Portis. This is not Ed Reed. This is not any of that stuff. Andre Johnson. Those days are gone. Miami doesn't have that clout, and they're not getting it. They're not going to come back that way. They're going to be, playing for the New Year's Bowl is probably their ceiling.
Morris, you're assuming this is going to be the NFL. Look, from number 1 to number 4, the drop to 5 and 6 is going to be freaking dramatic when you start talking about players. This is not the NFL. You don't draft, they don't draft to keep everybody the same. That's not how this is going to be. It's never, ever, ever been about more teams that can actually compete. It's never been about that. It's about money.
About TV revenue.
It's about TV revenue, and it's about shutting up the little guy and giving him access, what he thinks is access.
But it will happen about every 10 years.
A 5 or 6 that gets to the semifinal or something, maybe.
Yeah.
But you're going to. But even with that, you're going to.
It's going to go to.
You're going to need You're going to need a situation like the Cardell. It was a Cardell Jones. Is that who it was? Ohio State's quarterback, to where he's the third string guy, and they just go on a freaking tear. Like, you're going to need an Ohio State or a Michigan or an Oklahoma or an Alabama, somebody who had an off year who just gets hot at the right moment. That's when a 5 or 6 can win. But it's not going to be. It's not going to be a situation to where you have a Washington State is sitting there at the number 6 seed. They're not going to be able to go through and rip through everything. You're not going to see a Tulane come in at the number 6 seed and go through and do anything.
Hell no. They shouldn't have been on the field with USC by the end of that. Coach was there. He can tell you what the difference was in those two programs.
Yeah.
There ain't no way they should have done that. No way. And that's the whole point. It's not, I'm not trying to dog anybody's program or anything like that. I'm telling you that there's 8 to 10 teams maybe from year to year, and even then you probably got 4 to 5 that really have an opportunity from each year. Now I'm not saying it's the same 4 or 5 every year. I'm telling you, year to year, it's not built that way. It's never going to be built that way. Because this isn't the NFL. They're not doing the same. They want to say it's an NFL model for the sake of television's sake. That's bullshit. It's not that. It's not an NFL model, because if it was, you'd be drafting kids instead of freaking recruiting them. And it's always going to be that way. And there's going to be the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
But if you're Deion, you have a better opportunity to become one of the haves at CU, if you ask me, because of the fact that, I mean, it's an easier path to get there, and he is the one outlier that can bring guys that a lot of folks couldn't anywhere else. Would it be easier for him at Miami or Florida State or somewhere like that? Probably. But I'm surprised he's gotten the guys he's gotten at CU. So
he has told people, I mean, nonstop. You got to see, like, he has where he was coaching and being face to face with Nick Saban on the Geico commercial or the Aflac commercials, all that stuff. He knows how to brand himself. He is prime, like it's prime time, right? And so I thought he was a shit show and a circus, and I didn't think it was going to be legitimate. But he did it correctly. He didn't have the pride to just go hire a bunch of buddies as coordinators. He went after great coordinators and he got them, and they're doing a good job. Now, let's
Year
see
one,
what
he has no depth.
like.
Year one, he has no depth.
Now let's see because I don't think that he's going to continue to pluck guys away from Alabama or Georgia, Ohio State, anything like that. I don't think he's going to do that. He's going to get some of these mercenaries, like Cormani McClain and, Travis Hunter, some guys who are going to go and they're going to go underneath his tutelage. But
no, why not?
Let's see what he does with the quarterback. Let's see if his offensive coordinator gets hired somewhere. Let's see who he brings in next. Because all it takes is one bad hire, and it's different. All it takes is Georgia sit there and say, "This is who we are," and you can. That's cute and all, but this is what we've got.
I think that he's done a good job, and we've said this a bunch on this channel, is that the coaches that he has with him is he doesn't have to be a great coach. He just has to recruit.
Yeah,
he just has to recruit. So and be a motivator, which he's good at that too. So that's where I feel like, look, I'm higher on Prime than I know a lot of people are. I get that. I understand that. But I also think that he's doing this in year one. Right now, does he have depth right now? No, he's there 1 year, and they were 1-11 a year ago. You had to dump the shit out of there. You had to get it out. But the truth is when you get rid of that many guys, that's tough. That's tough on your depth, particularly in the trenches, man. That's the hardest thing in the country to recruit is the trenches.
That's because you can, with all the receivers out there in the top 500 recruits, you have dozens of receivers who come in and be somebody. There's not dozens of defensive tackles. There's not a lot of 2- and 3-star and below defensive tackles and defensive ends who you can go in and coach up, and they're going to turn into that guy. Now, there are more 5-star DNs and D tackles that turn out to be nobodies, but you got to go out and you got to find those guys. That's why Georgia has them, is because they have 9 of them on the roster. That's why Alabama has them, because they have 9 of them on the roster. And you can sift through the 3 or 4 guys that end up not being anything big. And Jimbo Fisher to USC after Lincoln leaves is pretty freaking funny because they deserve it.
That would be funny. That would be really funny. Anyway, all right. I think that's pretty much, I asked if it was a fireable offense. I don't know if I got a yes or no out of anybody. Should he have been fired? I think it's a fireable offense. I don't see him doing it, though. I think that they keep him around for a while. But it's still funny. Stupidest shit I've ever seen in a while.
Yeah, it's
pretty criminal.
I thought it kind of reminded me of someone just – I don't know.
Another good one.
I saw it. I was like, what am I looking at here? What's going on here? I was just so confused.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. And I mean, and they're, they started talking about the OC is the one that called it. Who gives a shit? You're on the headset, and you are. And as a head coach, what would you do? Are you shitting me?
You know I wouldn't.
If you don't get in victory formation, I'm going to kill you right now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Folks, thanks a lot for coming in. We very much appreciate it. We've been going for 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's time to roll. I got to get to the other job. Look, it's been a good week, though. Excited about what happened over the weekend in Dallas. It doesn't mean that Oklahoma's all the way there. It means that they're in the right direction. I'm excited about the future for this program. I think I think Coop, you'd say the same thing. Look, I'm excited about the direction of a lot of football teams in this country. Oklahoma's is probably right up there at the top. The way that they're doing things and the buy-in that you're seeing, that you're getting from these kids to this culture and the way that they play is something else. So I'm excited for that. I look forward to what's going to happen in the future. I don't think for any stretch of the imagination it's going to get easier, but I do believe that they have the right guy in place, and that's good to know. It's good to know. So thanks a lot again, everybody. Tell us one more time, but before you get out of here, Coop, how to find you. I think everybody knows how to find you, but tell them anyway.
You can find me in St. Louis rolling on dubs. No, you Unfair Sports. I had to switch around the Twitter handle a little bit. And so it now is Unfair Sports _Coop. Check us out. I don't know what we're doing this week, but I'm working on a couple other guys and working on a couple other big things. So pretty happy about it, but check us out. Enjoy your college football this week.
Most definitely. Yeah. Hey, listen, the good news is we're going to go to, you're going to get a loss this weekend for sure. So it's a good time, good time to get things turned around. You go into the bye week much different than last year. So that's the good news. You're coming into this thing, you're still undefeated halfway through this season, and things are looking really good. Look, I'm excited about it, Coach. I'll be even more excited if, get on the phone, get on the horn of Marcus, make sure that they put Tebow on his ass this week, and we'll all be happy,
We got to get her done, man. We can't falter another week here.
Hey, man, I'm with you. I think they're going to handle it. But, guys, thanks again, everybody, for coming in. We appreciate that. And, look, enjoy the rest of your week. We will see you here in a couple of days. I actually got a pretty good show coming up, I think, on Thursday. So be looking out for that one and some of our other. I'm going to do some other videos and even some writing, too, for some of our members of the Mafia. So, as you can see right above our head here, you should probably become a member of the Hall of Fame Mafia. Get some of that members only stuff and get into our Discord as well. We have a lot of fun in there. But again, thanks a lot, everybody. We will see you on the next one.